You're not doing a setup, right?
What do you mean?
There's not a
Like I have to
hippie.
shut up? No, 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 nothing like that. No.
Okay.
And when I play, and look, we have it on camera that I'm not doing that. There's not gotcha related stuff. Okay, so you have me on tape saying that, so you can play that back if ever I lie. Cool.
All right, sure.
And we can also set the terms beforehand. So if there's anything like you don't want to discuss, or if there's any kind of topic that you feel like is off, or that you don't want me to do a certain type of way, just let me know ahead of time, and I'll do my best to honor that. My
No,
goal here is not to catch you in a moment and then go viral. That's not what I'm
I
looking
got
for.
nothing to hide from.
Okay, good. All right, so let's say I just open up a quick little picture over here. Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. Okay, I'm gonna just share a screen. It's just a picture. It doesn't really matter.
I can't see your face though. I can't see your camera.
All good. I just wanna. What's the problem with this? There you go. Oh, actually, wait. While we're just sitting here waiting, what did you actually think about the Drewski sketch when you saw it?
Oh, that was hilarious. But I want to see Drewski. He's made a skit about Muslims who eat pork. He's made a skit about mega churches. There's one of the three Abrahamic faiths that he's left out.
Okay, so you want to see him go after the Jews? Is that it?
I think we should be consistent, right? I mean, if he's gonna make fun, I think he should make fun of all religions. If he's gonna be a comedian, I think it's fair. Is he probably still
All right.
going on? It's over. Thank you for the 20.
All right.
What's up though? That's MacBook camera in a hotel. I've done those.
He said MacBook. Yeah. Nah, 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 nah. I'm home. I'm home. This is I don't normally stream from home, so this is just like a webcam I have set up. I haven't spent time doing all the crazy tech that you guys got going on.
No, I'm pretty simple with it. Pretty simple with it. But yeah, long time no speak. I think it's been what 4 years.
Uh, Might be more to be honest. I don't even know. Pandemic has kind of fucked up my sense of time, so I don't even know anymore to be honest. After the pandemic, I forget ages. You know, I turned 30 during the pandemic, and then I realized like I don't feel time the same way. So I think it's got to be at least 3 4 years. It feels like a lifetime though. I don't know about you, but for me, last 4 or 5 years have been so much change.
Well, just last month felt like the whole. Yeah, it's been active.
You know what? I think it's probably works. All right, probably take me like 5 minutes max to
Yeah,
get these
and then I'll
things
say like
going.
what you said. I do appreciate you being honest about that whole Clubtober 7th, the Club of Cost situation. A lot of people were, you know, avoiding the actual facts, and even though it was live streamed in 4K, it's like so many people were disingenuous about it. And I saw your video, and you said what was true. So I didn't see a lot of people do that.
Yeah. When we cover that, I mean, I feel like it's kind of a standard case, but I know to me, I don't really. 'Cause I think I've heard someone say like, "Oh, you trying to be friends with Sneako? Is that what this is?" And I feel like everyone always thinks everything's an ulterior motive. Even this interview,
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
getting
someone
it.
messaged me,
I
"Are you
have.
trying to get in between Myrons?" I'm like, I don't give a fuck about people and their personal relationships with. If you want to be friends with whoever, that's their business. Um,
Yeah, and again, like I was telling the chat before, there because Myron's a friend of mine, and brought him on stream many times, and there's an overlap. They're like, okay, well, why are you linking up? I mean, I was explaining to them the like you've seen what Fresh and Fit has attacked me, like not Myron, but Fresh and Fit as a brand has attacked me far more than Abba and Preach in recent times. So it's like, why would the allegiance, you know? Or allegiance, this stuff is silly. And we have spoken before years ago. We've had some decent conversations back and forth. And I think this conversation, if it's a continuation of the one we had 4 years ago, should be interesting because we do have very different perspectives. But I think there's some sense of overlap as well. I think it could be interesting.
I don't disagree there. I think I don't know. I think you're quite different than me on this case, but I don't really befriend content creators much. I think it might have happened once or twice for me where I've actually gotten close to people where I consider them friendships in an earnest manner. And so for me, like whenever I do content like this with other people, which is not very often. I mean, the last year I might have collabed with people 3 times, and part of the reason for that is I don't like the expectation that comes with it after the fact, where I feel like people oftentimes they'll prioritize
Loyalty.
loyalty over their audience, loyalty over values, loyalty over everything.
Yeah.
And it's not a wait, why is that
Yeah,
shit
you guys
doing
barely
that?
collab. You don't really collab with Destiny anymore, right? I saw that was you guys used to collab a lot.
We haven't collabed or we haven't spoken in
Long time.
a very long time.
Yeah, me,
Yeah.
same thing. I forgot. I don't know what he's up to. I saw the only other one I saw was with Flagrant, was with Andrew Schultz and Akash Singh.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because we were in the comedy circuit and then we did the Just for Last festival together. I actually met them away from like the cameras, still in a performance setting, but it was a bit different. Um, but yeah, yeah, that's even them like people see me on a podcast. Somebody like, oh, you guys are friends. I'm like, I'm not friends with Adam 22. I don't know what to tell you. We did an interview once or twice, and I enjoyed talking to him, but I don't know this guy's first name. Like, I don't know
Adam.
what his house looks like. We never been to dinner, so I don't know why there's always that expectation that you're friends with someone because you're friendly on camera or you're laughing together. But I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, it can get muddied up for sure. I've had so many former friends. I've made a lot of careers over the years, and so many of them end up becoming full-time A-logs, full-time clout chasers, leeches, and I've definitely learned my lesson there. It's yeah, 100%.
When you say you've learned your lesson, is that like you feel like you've trusted the wrong people, or you
Oh yeah, I've been
is it,
far too trustworthy so many times. So now,
gotcha.
yeah, it gets muddied up with content creators because friendships are the content in a lot of times, and like who you're friends with is monetized. It's like it's not, especially because the communities are involved. It's not a normal relationship. You have thousands of people, sometimes millions, involved in the friendship. This is not how real friends communicate and operate.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably get into that actually later, but I want to kind of start from the beginning. So for me, my goal right now is I'm gonna ask you questions just from an inquisitive nature about some of the starts. But for you, is there anything that you want to kind of start with where you're like, hey, um, this is not what I want for this discussion? Any kind of red lines of any sorts, and that doesn't have to be a topic, but it's maybe a type of scenario you want to avoid.
I mean, nah. I mean, everything is obviously. I don't want like bad images to be shared, like stuff that's gonna get, get demonetized. I saw you. I didn't know you were gonna bring up images. I don't want any like images.
When I say I would bring, hold up, the image I have here was just a thumbnail to just have something on the screen. I'm not actually gonna have anything there, so you're good. I'm not gonna show a picture of you with somebody or something weird. All right.
Yeah, nah. Then right, just no like weird stuff on the screen.
All right, no worries. I got you. Okay, cool. So I wanted to.
They're saying there's a little bit of an echo. My stream's fine, but your stream might told me in the chat that your stream's echoing.
My shoes that going?
That's what they're saying in my chat. Mine's fine though.
Oh, I think I know what it is. It's because the window captures are probably also giving me something. So why don't I? Let's see here. Can you keep talking, Sneako?
I'm talking. I'm testing. Abba's in a hotel. He's traveling. He's fixing the audio. I'm speaking. The chat is very divided right now. This is going to be
Okay.
interesting. Talking. I see you guys. Love speeches in here. Long of love speech.
I'm just wondering. See, this is why I normally stream from the studio because I did not ever actually get this whole home shit set up properly.
So yeah, it's probably. Oh, you know what? Because you don't have headphones, so my audio is playing outside of your speakers, and then going into your microphone, so it's playing twice. I think the best thing I've done this before when I debated Moist is just mute your desktop audio and then have my mic come through your MacBook speakers into your mic.
Or I can just put on headphones, no?
Yeah, headphones too. But are you using a MacBook?
No, I'm not using a MacBook.
Okay, then you're fine.
1 second. I'll be right back.
All right, Chad, is he stalling? What do you guys think? What do you guys think? He's got a whole slideshow prepared. I like it. I enjoy a challenge. I know we have no echo, but I think he does. So, yeah, I'm ready for an honest conversation. Hopefully it's not a setup or anything. But, you know, he's acting weird. There's no echo. No, I don't know. It's fine on my end. I was just seeing that on his. Maybe he's saying don't trust a Somali.
I'll try that shit again.
He doesn't have a Somali daycare, bro. It's going to be interesting.
So, I will plug these in now.
And if it's a setup or anything, I'm just going to just leave, too. I have other stuff to talk about.
These two. All right. All right, stream. Did the echo get fixed with me using headphones? All right, looks like it did work, so we're good now. All right. And then the last thing I got to do.
He seems chill. Yeah, it seems fine so far.
Wait, right now? Okay, you're talking to your stream? Because I can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm
okay.
good.
Okay.
Joe, what is it? We get a lot of unks who don't know how to use technology, right? It's like, you get Myron with the fucking Discord is for black people. You get who Brad doesn't know how to pull up something on the screen. Bryce Mitchell doesn't know how to use, like, only uses Zoom. Who else? It's always... It's just, I mean, it's people in their 30s, bro. It's people in their 30s. He's going to do a hit piece on you when you hop offline. I mean, if he does, he does. I still think it could be an interesting combo. Don't fold. Yeah, we were supposed to start this at 5 p.m. It's almost 7 right now. I told him at first he wanted to do it at like 3, but... Aiden Ross is in the chat. Yo, Aiden, what's going on? How come you didn't give me any gifted subs, bro? Chat, do you like me? I'm Jewish. Is that the real Aiden? Aiden, where's my gifted? Oh, he's been chatting a lot. Somalians are going to be Somali. Who are your former friends?
Okay,
Aiden,
boss.
I'm not sneaky.
I think I'm pretty much good to go. Is my sound coming in half decent for you?
Yeah, it sounds great. Aiden Ross is in the chat. He said, chat, do you like me? I'm Jewish. Yes, we love Aiden Ross. Hey, Aiden, did you steal my content the other day?
So
I miss you too, Aiden.
So I kind of wanted to just start at least from the beginning. I think
Aiden, this might be a hit piece. This might be a liberal hit piece.
A dozen different
Stay
ways.
here, Aiden. Stay for this. I need your help to see if this is a setup.
But you know, I'm pretty sure you get this a lot. You have people commenting things like, "Oh, I like the old Sneako. I miss the old Sneako." In my head, I'm always curious, what is that like for you when you hear those questions, or you hear those comments?
First thing I think of is that song. I miss the old Kanye, straight from the go Kanye. It's like, I mean, the old stuff still exists. I've posted vlogs. If they say that they miss the vlogs and the, like, artistic stuff, posted Twitter vlogs for 140 or something, 150 in a row daily for free on X when I was banned on YouTube. I'm about to post a main channel video today. It's fire. Maybe it'll be tomorrow, but I still put in work. And I think a lot of people that miss it, most of them are liberals. I think that they probably overlap with you more than they overlap with me now. I think they say they miss the old stuff because of what my politics are. And I think a lot of them, whenever I ask them, okay, what do you disagree with? They don't know. I think they have a vague idea of what I talk about. And a lot of it's the Red Pill Association. But they don't see that I debated the Red Pill Grand Wizard 3 years ago when he was advocating for vasectomies. Like he said that like high value men need to get a vasectomy. Crushed him. He got really upset. So it's like, I'm not going to try to explain myself to people that don't look into my content.
Right. But do you think they miss you just because they don't agree with you politically, or is it they feel like the shift from like live streaming to from like the
videos,
more structured videos or scripted stuff to the more live stream format? Do you think it's that shift, or do you think it's political, or is it both?
I think it's both, but it's mostly the fact that it's the Red Pill Association. Even though I distanced myself from the Red Pill ideology 3 years ago. But I understand why people think that. The optics, obviously you saw it the Clubbercosts and stuff. Like, I'm still around a lot of these people, and they think that I have the same beliefs. But when you ask them, what do I believe in, what I talk about, they're like, oh, I don't know, I don't watch the content. So they see clips and they have an idea. They see articles of what I'm about. Especially, I've been banned for 3 years. I just got unbanned on YouTube. I was banned everywhere on social media. Still am on most social media sites. And,
do you, when you think back to how you were when you first came on the scene as a creator, because I think you started when you were like 14, 13?
I started when I was a little bit younger, but I started my main channel, Sneako, May of 2013, so 13 years ago.
Okay. And when you look back to that period, when you started making content, I think just for reference, is it possible I play one of your first videos, just so for the audience who doesn't know how you came onto the scene? Could I play one of like your first videos?
Absolutely. I appreciate you asking.
So I'm gonna go here on the Sneako channel.
YouTube, come on over to.
And it's actually one of your more popular, so you know exactly which one I'm talking about.
YouTube, I'm gonna cut it. Come on over to Kick.
All right.
Pinning it in chat.
I'm gonna skip past the part where you play the copyright stuff, just in case that's an issue for you. I don't know. I'm gonna change the window to here it is. Okay, so right here. How old were you when this was going on?
I just turned 17.
Okay. Let's see. All right, let me not make it full screen like this. We'll just play it.
What we live for. It isn't how can I make myself better, it's if I go hiking this weekend, how many Instagram likes could I get if I take a selfie next to a tree? Our image is everything, and if you pay attention, you'll see the lengths people go to maintain this. Virtually everything you do is in anticipation of how someone else is going to react. You know that guy who says he doesn't give a fuck about what people think, or, don't get offended if you don't like my beliefs, shit like that? That guy does care. They all care. He just wants people to think that he has a personality too. So don't be that cunt, please. Just be a different guy. Don't be that guy. Let me show you an example of this. I found a tweet here and it reads, I love how strong I am now. There are two options here. Either one, it's a dude who went to the gym twice and can now bench 85 pounds, or it's a girl in her late teens who wants attention. I prefer the latter. I'll go with the latter. And yes, I was right. And from this selfie in her profile picture, I swear to God on my life, I guarantee you within 10 seconds, I'm not cheating, I will scroll and I will find you a selfie that either says I'm a loser, I'm a nerd, or me too. Here we go. God damn it. So let's jump in her mindset here. Nobody's actually buying that she thinks she's a nerd, and she knows that too. But in 2015, it's not cool to seem like you're trying hard. So alone in her room putting on makeup at 8 p.m., she's wondering, how can I get attention for the next few hours? She has to feel important for the rest of the night. So what she does is she scans her room. Voila, she sees her glasses on her desk. That's a prop for a selfie. LOL, nerd. She won't post a picture of herself chugging Mountain Dew and sucking Dorito stains off of her fingers while, going to town watching anime from the early 2000s. Now, the glasses are enough of a prop for this picture. But that's just on the internet. Everybody says that. We spend time crafting this image of ourselves with filters, music quotes, and edgy tweets. It's pretty much like making a Sims character. How you see me on YouTube is this person that I create through hours and hours of hard work. I script literally everything I say and edit it in a program. You have no idea what I'm actually like. For all you know, I could be a YouTube drone created by Google to scare you away from the YouTube you don't have to pay for. In real life, people view me as a kind of wannabe, sometimes annoying, slightly funny fuckboy. And subconsciously I spend a lot of my time perfecting that image. I don't wake up and think, how could I not be a douchebag today? I wake up and think, who can I piss off the most? Most of you have extremely fucked up thoughts that you don't say out loud because they affect your persona. I'm guessing at least more than half of you are closet racists, and even some of you kind of wanted me to go home at some point. I was born here, by the way. Please don't deport me, Mr. Trump. Probably more than half of you have some more gay thoughts than you care to admit. And at least 1/3 of you have spent some time on the really sketchy parts of the internet. Fucking weirdos. The reality is most of us are going to spend our lives
Aiden, you're a
wondering
pedo
how
for saying
everyone
that.
else is going to see us instead of improving ourselves for ourselves. It even comes down to your haircut. When I have a buzz cut, I want people to think I'm a big tough guy, big tough guy. ¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué pasó, rey? Hey, uma ese. When I got the quarter black, half Asian fro going on, I want you to think that maybe I go to museums or something. Maybe I'm one of those guys that reads grown-up books with titles that have sentence fragments, like Searching for Meaning. I guarantee you that's a book. I don't know though. Should I post this? Maybe people are gonna think I'm a tryhard.
And for everyone who's in the chat, being like, yo, Abba, we couldn't see the video. I know. Don't worry, I'll make sure it's fixed for the next one we end up playing, but at least now you guys know. that I'm aware of the issue. So that's a video from that era, and I watched quite a lot of your old content in preparation for this. I watched like a lot. I watched a couple of short films, all these different things, and I'm curious if you had to describe yourself at the inception of your journey in content creation, how would you describe yourself, what you were about?
Yeah, that's a good question. First, I'm cutting my YouTube stream for people watching the YouTube. Coming over to Kick, it's pinned to the chat. Just ended it. But it's funny, like even though this was posted in 2015, it's 2015, and there's a quote I say like, "Actually, I was born here. Please don't deport me, Mr. Trump." And that was before he was even president. So it's like, and even that stuff, I'm like, from the YouTube that you don't have to pay for, it's like now you have to pay for YouTube. I'm talking about like mass censorship and everything. A lot of that stuff ended up becoming true. So I would say it's the same motto I have now. The motto I have is seek truth through funny. And I was following it back then. I was just trying to figure out what was going on. Back then, I was talking about so much of the stuff I talk about to this day. So when people say they miss the old Sneako, it's like, take some time to look at my content and my message. It's the same exact content. And Aiden's in the chat saying, where does this guy stream? Does he have viewers? I've been preaching that you guys mostly post videos, but you guys have been streaming a lot, pulling a lot. I see you guys like average like 5 to 7K or something like that. And that's a side note. But I would say that, yeah, this was all just about seeking truth through funny. And what was really important about this video and why people resonated with it, I think that has 5 million views or something. You know, it's just a webcam video, original YouTube type content, talking to the photo booth and, you know, slight editing. Mm-hmm. What I touch on here is the hyper socialization that we have now from social media, how hyper self-aware we are from the camera, from the phone, from creating the Sims character, as I said here, or curating an image of who we want to be through Instagram photos and captions rather than who we are. We're the most self-conscious generation of all time and people of all time as a product of the internet and as a product of cameras. And I just realized how inauthentic we became. And so I always wanted my platform to prioritize authenticity in a world now where it's so hard to find that.
What do you feel like that version of Sneako was missing in life? What was he looking for? I know you said you were seeking truth through funny, but I'm asking as an individual or maybe as an artist, whatever you want to choose. What do you feel like you were searching out for out there when you were making content?
I was searching for truth.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah, I was looking for, I just saw so many inconsistencies, hypocrisies. I didn't know where I fit into the world. I grew up extremely mixed race. I still am mixed race, but back then, when I was growing up, most people saw me as Asian. And then as I got older, I looked more light skinned. And I grew up, you know, I was born in New York City. I grew up mostly in New Haven, Connecticut. You know, I grew up, it's a dangerous area. They call it gun wave in New Haven. You know, I grew up in a city with a lot of crime, but I went to a predominantly white WASP school on scholarship. So I grew up around like a lot of rich people with families that worked at Yale University, but we didn't have money. You know, grew up in the 2008 housing crisis. And I was just always kind of just trying to figure out where I fit in. So I've always felt like an outsider. I've always been an outsider. You know, it never really had a sense of belonging ethnically. I've never been around people and be like, oh, these are my people. Every group, I'm an outsider to some extent. You know,
Gotcha.
Are you Ethiopian?
Yeah, so I was born in Canada, but I was raised a lot of my young years in Ethiopia. So I kind of have like a bit of a mixture of those two
One of my
experiences.
biggest insecurities.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a good one too. You know, Ball. This is one of my favorites as well.
Yeah, I actually kind of wanted to get into that because this was around early 2022, and this video came out around before actually, we might have met just before this point. But I want to just play this video as we transition to the second part. I'm going to just actually keep it like that in theater mode. And this time, for the folks watching at home, I'll make sure y'all are able to see. Here you go.
One of my biggest insecurities is that I've never knocked anybody out. I've never been knocked out either, ever. Never woken up with my face on the pavement, circle of people around you laughing. I've been in little fights, but nobody got hurt. So.
Question. At this point, how old are you?
I had just moved to Harlem. This was March 1st, 2020. So I dropped out a year before, and then I finally started making enough money from YouTube to move out of the college dorm, and I moved into Harlem, got a studio apartment on 141st Street. This is Adam Clayton. This is the fucking projects. And it was 2 weeks before the pandemic. So I'm like, finally, I get to have an apartment in Manhattan, which is like, if anybody grew up in the Northeast, like this is like pinnacle. This is achievement right here. Like getting your own spot in Manhattan. And then 2 weeks later, pandemic hit. So it was March 1st, 2020. I was born in 98. I was this 21 years old?
Yeah, and you hadn't started live stream by this point, right?
No. I was still just strictly making videos.
Okay, all right. We'll keep playing.
So, I'm gay. I don't know how to be a real man. It's not all my fault though. Everyone has their own definitions of what it means to be a real man, and we all fall for it trying to prove ourselves. So many men are confused and scared, but they don't know how to express emotion, so they overcompensate by being loud and homophobic. The fuck are you pointing at, you fag? I tried the whole friendly ally feminist thing, and it didn't work. When I was younger, I looked full Asian.
Mods,
so
keep hitting Aiden's chat.
The small dick stereotype. Girls ignored me, men didn't respect me. I was this angry internet dude for a long time. I was reading the Red Pill, an online advice forum for men. You can't really stoop lower than that. When my sister would bring home her boyfriend, I'd start puffing my chest out, doing push-ups in the kitchen. When I finally got a girlfriend, I'd start eyeing down dudes, looking at her. Why are you looking at my girl, bro? You looking at my girl? I was that guy. I was that guy for like a really long time. And I still find flakes of that person, because now when I talk about women, everybody in the comments is calling me toxic.
I think so.
Right, so don't you use that to your advantage? Like, you've never used the fuckboy with the heart of gold thing? Like, okay, I'm a fuckboy, but like, oh, you make me understand that, like, oh, women aren't objects. Like, I use that all the time.
Because you're toxic.
Like, I'm like, man, I just be fucking these bitches. But you, there's something special about you. And oh, I don't know, man.
You relate, Abba?
Listen,
What?
You look like you related to that a little bit.
Nah, I just think that character is funny to me.
Oh, okay.
I think that character is funny.
But there's a reason we have gender roles. Hold up, before men like big boobies and booty. Those big, infected-looking plastic lips. We're simple. Yes, obviously, once you get to know someone, you figure out their personality and their star sign. But initial attraction is all physical. For women, initial attraction is all about demeanor, your confidence, the way you carry yourself, your swag. They can sense the fakers. They want a respected man. Trust me, they can see the fakers. A lot of women are delusional. They think they want that feminist ally dude who listens to them and is always nice and agrees with all their beliefs and shit. You know the guy whose profile picture is that overly
Aiden, we'll watch
excited?
Mr. Beast after. We'll see what he does.
This face.
Maybe he's gonna get more hippies.
This is why you see old-ass, ugly rich dudes with smoking hot wives in their 20s. You won't see one sexy dude with an ugly wife. Don't look it up on your phone. Think of one. Think of one sexy dude with an ugly wife. But you know about Jay-Z and Beyonce. You know about Jeff Bezos and whatever that, Hugh Hefner and his...
Okay, I don't mean to pause it, but do you still think that's true?
That ugly guys can get with beautiful women, but you don't see the reverse?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely... At least I know a lot of rich dudes whose wives aren't necessarily like what you would expect for like a hot, attractive woman or whatever. It's actually pretty...
Well, you ever seen that metric where it says ultra billionaires like Jeff Bezos, they get like the fake tit, that's their wife. Multi-millionaires get the beautiful model wife. Thousandaires get, you know... Yeah, they have the propensity to get to that, but there's definitely an archetype that fits in there. And the overall point is that beautiful women can get with ugly men, but, you know, top-tier men oftentimes aren't going to get with an ugly woman the same way.
Yeah, I know the stereotype. I guess I think there's a bit of like a confirmation bias there, because like you'll see an example that agrees with you and you'll be like, see, it must be true. But then if I line up 10 billionaires with wives you are thinking are not that attractive or whatever, or not younger, they don't fucking flip on them, then you'll go like, yeah, but you know, generally speaking. But I digress. This is something, at least now that I've lived a little bit longer, been around more rich people, and in my experience, it's actually more often than not just normal looking people with normal looking people. But I think in the content creation sphere, I think we see a lot of what you're talking about. Like, okay, well, Bill Gates is probably a bad example after the Epstein files.
Yeah.
But Melinda Gates is not exactly a smoke show, okay? And they were married for a long time, and that is actually generally the norm for a lot of wealthy people. They don't necessarily do the Jeff Bezos route all the time.
Right, but look what happened to Bill Gates, so...
I mean,
did he give her an STD allegedly? In my opinion, because he was sleeping with so many girls in the like. That's
I mean, that's the least of my concerns. It sounds like this dude might have, been with some young folks, but we'll get to that. We'll get back to the video for now. All right.
Mansion full of snow bunnies. And look, I understand my audience. It's mostly young dudes looking for some guidance. I didn't really fully comprehend this until I did a show in Germany last month. I didn't even know that I had people in Germany watching my videos, but I did a comedy show and a bunch of people.
Be honest, Aiden, did you copy the J-Mail and the Black Map and steal my Cheezer collab?
Germans are tall as hell, so we look like a football team, like in a huddle.
And that Aiden Cuffin joke I made for the Robert Kraft commercial.
About, how do I find my passion? How do I get over depression, anxiety? I'm saying whatever. I don't know the answer. I don't have the answer. And it dawns on me as they're hanging on to every word I'm saying that I could start a cult right now. If I wanted to start a religion where everybody does whatever, I could be Jesus.
Ooh, you're
That's
weird.
A scary thought to cross your mind. I'm not ready for that power. But so many young men are looking for some guidance and some advice that they don't get from their parents, from their teachers. A lot of men are confused and scared, just like me.
Wait, can you pause real quick?
Lonely internal struggle.
Doesn't it? It sounds like I'm describing right here. I think I'm 21. Describing the need and the what's necessary for the Red Pill movement to arise this year and the next year, 2022. That's when Red Pill really dominated the internet. Right here, I'm saying they're lying about COVID. There's an absence of some masculine leadership in the internet space because things are getting so feminized. Cancel culture was at its peak. That was coming off the Me Too movement. Men were being shamed all the time. It seemed like being naturally masculine was a horrible thing. And so right here, I'm like, okay, something is needed.
Sure. I think I share your sentiment that a lot of young men were lost. I mean, even I'm older than you, so I didn't have that same experience with the Red Pill. I had the experience with the movement that came before the Red Pill, which would have been like the pickup artist bodybuilding world. That was what I knew. But I think I share the sentiment with you that men felt lost. I think the reasons we might disagree, but I get where you're coming from, and I think I understand what you were talking about when you were talking about this video at that time.
That's not really taken seriously. For women, it's body image issues, and we care about that. Look, we have fat mannequins now. We didn't have that 5 years ago. We got fat mannequins. We don't want girls making themselves throw up and starving themselves, so we made plus-size models. But think, when's the last time you saw a male plus-size model? Think of one. Don't Google, think of one. It's fucked up how when you're learning how to mature as a man, they'll throw phrases at you like your toxic masculinity, patriarchy, and you're like, isn't this just what you wanted? No one paid attention to me before, and now that I'm mature, I'm oppressing you? Men kill themselves 5 times more than women. 80% of homicide victims are men. We will die trying to prove ourselves. It's weird and sad. Like, I'm in my 20s and I think about slapping people for respect on a daily basis. That's insecurity. I'm deeply afraid of somebody calling me a pussy. This is why white boys shoot up schools. It's why black boys join gangs. It's why Asian boys study extra hard all night. It just used to be more simple to become a man. You could work at a factory, come home from work, honey, I'm home, beat your wife, and fall asleep. You're a man. That was life. Now it's a little more confusing. It's like when the porn ends and or like when your laptop goes off and you see, like the screen goes black and then you just see your reflection like in your dick in your hand and you kind of look like an ape and your neck is here and like, just don't
again? You fell for it again? When will you learn?
You know what's funny, Alba? At this time, I saw your channel was doing really well with reaction videos. I remember in this era, I'm like, bro, I need to start making some more money. And my channel, I was only being able to post like 1 or 2 times a week because of the editing and scripting. I'm like, I want to produce more. So I was looking for a preach to my Abba. And so that guy here, Cass, was one, like I even did some, like not interviews, but like auditions. There was another guy from Brooklyn. His name is Ash, because I thought it'd be I wanted like a different racial dynamic. And I never was able to find one and get that. But that was, that was my way.
It's not easy.
No.
It's not easy. I mean, me and Prince have been working together for a decade, people have no idea how difficult it is to find somebody with values that align with yours and to be able to work. So I can imagine it wasn't easy.
How did you meet Preach?
Through the dance community. So Preach was the guy who would MC and he danced professionally for a long time. And then I also danced, but I also would do cinematography related work. So I was getting hired a lot for events for my business. And then we worked together on an event. I'd asked him to collab with me on a project because we'd spoken a bunch of times. Just yeah, happened. And then the project went super good, so I just kept inviting him, and then eventually it became a partnership. So it's very, very organically done. I didn't even seek out somebody like that. In fact, Preach was just a feature in one of my first videos that went viral. I had a video that like hit 5-6 million views, and Preach is in that video, but it's a small cameo. And then we were just chopping it up afterwards, and it was kind of happy.
So he's kind of like the Cuffham to your Aiden.
Hey, bro, I don't know streaming shit enough to do that. You can't just drop these references like I know these. I know Aiden Ross like tangentially, like I've seen videos, and I have no idea who Cuffham is.
Oh, okay.
I'm too old for that shit. But
how old are you?
35.
Oh, okay.
35. Yeah. The reason why I want to play that video that we just watched is I think it's a good preamble because I think your next transfer goes into some of the red pill phase and self-improvement. And when you have that transition, this is actually a video you did before that, even though you'd already watched some forums. I feel like you didn't.
But you could see it coming, right?
Call
like,
yourself.
Yeah, people. Said
you can see the preamble,
right? Like it's clear. Like watching back here, it's actually this is well organized. You could see why that red pill era happened. Yeah,
there's a through line. You can see and I think one thing that's cool about the way you kind of documented your life is you were very open and. So my description, I wrote a sentence. It's Sneako is openly flawed, self-aware and arrogant, humble enough for curiosity, and daring enough to take chances. So that's my perception when I watched the first arc of your content creation from kid to about 2020 when you did the video before the red pill, How to Be a Man. You were aware of your own flaws. You may not always had the correct conclusion or whatever, but you could see the thought process. You could see how you got there. You could see your justification, your reasons why. You could see that you try to see things from other people's perspectives to a degree, and like it makes sense how you ended up in the red pill era afterwards. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So
SBF said, "Here we go."
Is
this hippies time?
The question I would ask you first: what did the red pill give you that you didn't have before?
I think more. Well, I think men at the time, and in these videos you're showing, men on the internet especially were living in a liberal-dominated, woke-dominated. Like men had to live in this kind of guilty. You know, how white people say, are like, "I'm one of the good ones," or like white boys will say, "Can a white boy catch a vibe?" It was kind of that same thing with men. It was like, hey, I'm not one of those misogynist, horrible men, and gave men the opportunity to not live in a guilty place.
Right. In the era of like, men are trash and there was all this
exactly.
Stuff
I have a really good video called "Are Men Trash?" where I was asking, that one took so long to make. It was a great street interview about that specifically.
Yeah. When you went from how you were before and then you discovered the red pill content, really started assimilating a lot of it, it really started to incorporate into your worldview, how do you feel like you changed?
Well, one thing that I haven't been very public about is that I was always consuming red pill content, and I was just kind of afraid to talk about it on YouTube because of how liberal dominated it was. But I was reading the red pill subreddit. It was deleted now. All those subreddits like the Donald and all that stuff on Reddit that was informational all got taken down. I was on 4chan growing up, like 8th, 9th grade. I remember got suspended for looking at 4chan in library. So I was hyper aware of this stuff. I even read that book by Mystery. I don't know if you know this guy.
I know that.
Pickup artist.
The pick artist, yeah.
Yeah, pickup artist. He would talk about peacocking, where he would wear like big feathered hats to try to attack. This goofy stuff. But I was hyper aware of red pill ideology my whole teenage years. But I just hadn't really. It was just something I was interested in, but I didn't really adopt it.
Hold that thought 2 seconds. Hold that thought 2 seconds.
Where's he going? Okay, there he goes. Hey, Abba's chat. Aiden, how's this going so far? Is this pre-hit piece? What do you think? You've really never seen this guy before? You never seen him before? What is he doing? Is he grabbing a costume?
I actually picked one of these up because I'm actually doing a project on the pickup artist community, and so I was actually looking for that fucking dumb hat that he normally wears. Yeah. And this is the closest thing I could find.
That's it. Yeah, I'll show them who.
It's even worse than this one. It was larger up here. He looked like a. I don't know what it was, but I know exactly the kind of content you're talking about. So
yeah, that is the hat.
You're saying you.
Yeah.
It took me a hot minute to find it. Okay. From your perspective,
liberal
you feel like
Myron.
you didn't change. Okay, you answered that you were already consuming some of it, and that it was already kind of. But how do you feel like? I feel like you had a quite drastic change as you watched more of the red pill stuff, and that yeah, you could see how you got there, but it definitely got amped up. So I'm asking you, what change did you see?
It was COVID pandemic, because as soon as it happened, that was one of the reasons I got banned. Was I didn't get the COVID vaccine, and I was really against the lockdowns. I was so critical how it didn't make sense. Everything was flagged and taken down at the time. They put a COVID warning beneath everything. And as soon as COVID happened, I said they're going to use this in order to sell vaccines. And I didn't get it. And on the time, YouTube, you weren't supposed to say that. And so seeing that happen, seeing us lock us inside, and then everybody went outside to protest George Floyd, I'm like, this is very obvious control mechanism. I started to get angry. And they call it red pill rage. Like, once you really start waking up, I did get red pill rage post-pandemic.
So you felt like most of the change that you experienced was in relation to COVID. It wasn't in relation to
It was build up.
your feelings about the opposite sex, about dating, about the world. Like, at least when I saw you, yes, there was definitely an aspect where you're talking about some of the global stuff and some of the COVID-related things, but there's definitely a lot of it in relation to dating dynamics. You didn't feel like there was actual change there as you got into your red pill arc?
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to Patrice for years. He's my favorite. He's like your favorite comedian of all time too, right?
Yeah, I actually did have
saying.
Patrice in my notes here. Yeah.
Yeah, Patrice O'Neal's the GOAT. And yeah, that's part of it. But like the real catalyst was the pandemic, was the lockdown. Like this was just, I had enough. And then everything that I was not talking about, I'm like, I'm going to go balls to the wall now. I wanted to fight back.
Got you. Did you feel like you had a disdain for some liberal principles or the way you felt liberals were operating at the time?
Yeah, because liberals operate you're a liberal, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so liberals operate, and my chat was talking about this yesterday. I think liberals have proven more consistency, especially you see the way that the MAGA people and Trump have switched up about Epstein. It went from no new wars and let's release the Epstein files to if you want the Epstein files released, we don't want your support. And also war is good and Iran and Venezuela should be bombed more. But liberals operate from a place of, I think, sympathy. But they don't see it on a grand scale, right? So I think one of the major issues that separates liberals and conservatives, it's really a lot of it's slop, but it's like transgenders, I think, is a good example. Conservatives are like, okay, this is harmful because they have one of the highest suicide rates of any demographic. Liberals are like, trans people should be able to exist. They don't mean any harm. They're not hurting people. But what I believe is that, okay, I love everyone and I care about these people. What we should tell them is that this is a harmful ideology, hormones, and trying to change their existence is not the solution to their problem. Statistically, we know that like this is a delusion. So I think it's operating from a place of love. Liberals are thinking, okay, well, we should just allow them to exist and be happy. So I think it's addressing the problem, but it's not providing the correct solution to it.
Well, I think the way you're framing it, if you're going to make the example of liberals, the person who wants to be inclusive of trans people, then the conservative is the one who's like, we have to tell you the truth. And that's the one version of it. But the other version of it is like, the conservatives who say we don't accept you in our society because we feel like you're bad for us. And then there's the liberal who's like, listen, you're very different from me, but I still accept you in this community. And if you're very honest, if you go to countries that are very, very conservative, they're not actually open to a lot of people who are drastically different than them in their cultural norms. Conservatism, in the way that you describe it, isn't necessarily the way conservatism manifests in a lot of places.
Yeah.
And also as an artist, you probably know this too, but like conservative areas are not exactly the most embracing of art. In fact, you and your own community, how often do you hear art is gay, art is gay, art is gay, right? How many times do you hear people just bemoan music and every other freedom of expression, but like you will make projects that they would consider really fucking gay. Is that a great form of conservatism? It's liberals
That's a great point.
Look at what you make. It's liberals who open up the museums and fund them, the ones that you go to. It's liberals who make the funding happen for the movies that you want to be able to do. In fact, pretty much most of the things that you think are most important to you in life are done by people who have a liberal mindset in terms of allowing that kind of expression and encouraging it.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And like a lot of my chat, they're spamming me now like arty farty, art is gay, art is gay. I love art. That is the reason I think I'm here. No, that's 100% true. Conservatives don't make really good art. Like that's 100%. You can't really name that many. There was one guy, he started painting and then look what he did to the world. So it's like, that's one example of, he wasn't accepted for his art and then he ended up, invading Poland. So
He
Yeah,
ended up becoming very conservative.
yeah, that is, you're 100% right. 100% right. Art is at the forefront, and there's contradictions, and art really in conservatism don't overlap. And the overlap as well is that conservatives in America will be like, okay, we can't be tolerant of these things. We can't be tolerant of transgenderism. But at the same time, America does pride itself on democracy, on freedom. Like what is it to be in the West, to be an American? It's freedom. You're allowing ideology. So if you allow freedom, then you also allow people to do pride parades. Then you also allow this to happen. So they say America's a Christian nation, but also we need freedom. They say Islam is not compatible in the West, but then, so how is Christianity coexist with freedom? Because Christianity has almost the same restrictions as Islam. So 100%, it's there's
I'm not saying what is the right answer. If you just ask me the kind of society where I feel most free living in, it's going to be a liberal one. You know, I say this all the time. I love Ethiopia. The reason why I wouldn't live there is that me doing the kind of work that I do, I don't think I'd ever be safe. That's just a reality. It's a reality in a lot of traditionally conservative places. Like, you're allowed to say things to a certain extreme, and then beyond that, like, they will use the governmental powers to come after you. And that is very normal. If you want places that you have the most amount of freedom to say what you will against the powers that be, it's going to be in liberal societies who really value the ideas of freedom and independence in that regards. So, you know, I understand in a lot of circles, people love to be like the trans issue. Like, trans issue is so minor.
It is.
You know, like, I've gotten such fatigue on the trans issue because I'm like, bro, we already won on that topic. They lost the whole sports angle. They lost a lot of this stuff. I feel like it's almost pointless now to even mention it because it's like on every front, the bathroom stuff, they didn't get that. They didn't get the sports. They didn't get the 99% of the issues that they. So like when people bring up trans stuff to me, I'm like, that was like 2018, 2019 when it was relevant. You feel like it's still relevant today?
No, well, and it's relevant because people like Matt Walsh are talking about transgenderism instead of the Epstein list. It's like, I think this is used as a populist idea. Like Mamdani, I think he won the liberals over by jumping up and down at the pride parades and pretending he cares about trans people. Like, it's smart in order to gain support. But like overall, it is such a minor issue. And same thing, conservatives will do the same thing. Like Michael Knowles will have Clavicular on and be like, "What about these transgenders?" And it's like, dude, this is not cool. Like, nobody thinks this is important to discuss anymore. It doesn't, garner the same reaction as it once did. It is minor, and we have 100% focused on it too much in previous years. It's time to move on.
Yeah. I'm going to just folks said that you were a little bit too quiet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just add some gain to this because I don't think it's picking up that well. So just let me do that real fast for the desktop audio. Hopefully it works. So give me a second, chat. I'll make the adjustment. I think I have advanced audio properties. I can add some gain in. Let's see. I'll put like 4 dBs. All right. Let's see if that works. Desktop audio. Can you try talking again for a second?
Test talk. And chat, I'm going to release the main channel video tomorrow at 3 p.m., not today. I think it's already too late. I want to post it at 3. So it's just a song released tomorrow on the main channel. Saturday.
Okay, we're gonna keep going from here. I think that should be fine. So next part I want to do, just in terms of questions I want to ask. Oh, yes. So I'm asking this, again, this is not a gotcha. I
already know what's coming. It's the cuck swinger thing.
Yeah, it's good because I think I remember during my research phase that there was some aspect of it where you felt like liberalism a liberal mindset might have pushed you to do that. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, New York, it was, I wanted to, I've talked about this so many times. I was very degenerate back in my early 20s and teens. I wanted to have a bunch of threesomes. That was something that I was, like, to be honest, I was kind of addicted. I loved having threesomes with women, and then it was making, like, my girlfriends upset. And so she's like, okay, what if we do a couple swap? And then did that, hated it, and just stopped. But yeah. But, realizing that, that didn't really, it wasn't a huge deal. And I joked about it on that podcast with Agent and Low, because I thought it was funny because I'm talking about something that, was funny because it was like, I how much I hated it. But you've seen, like, to this day and stuff, people will bring that up for an attack vector. But it's like, I'm just an honest person. I'm not able to. I didn't need to tell that story. Obviously, it's going to be harmful to my reputation and stuff. But I talked about it because it was real. It happened, and like maybe somebody can learn from that. And especially I was listening to Patrice a lot. Patrice was like red pilled, and he was talking about that, the couple swaps and everything. But yeah, I don't obviously don't do that and wait till marriage. But and I got over that too. Like I used to be kind of a sex addict, bro. I was like, who was addicted to threesomes? That's something that's and again, like people talk about that when liberalism, degeneracy is allowed, and you're sleeping around a lot, then you're gonna be doing threesomes, and then you end up, you know, swapping with the couple, and you're like, what the fuck? Like I hate this. And so that was kind of a wake up call. Like let me stop wasting time on this and focus on what's important.
So how do you feel like liberalism plays into that? How do you feel like liberalism?
Because everything's tolerated, like that because everything's allowed, and you know, in a society where that's frowned upon, I wouldn't have felt like that was a normal thing to do.
Well, okay. So here's an example. Have you, you know, would you say that the Middle East is mostly conservative?
Yeah. Besides Tel Aviv,
So-
they say that Israel or Tel Aviv is the gayest city in
Right.
the world. Times of Israel posted that.
Fair, but one might go to Dubai and poop on a girl, right? It's very frowned upon, but the people who have wealth and who have the ability to have the privacy engage in the debauchery that they want to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is I think the only difference between the conservative and the liberal side is, yes, there may be a frowned upon nature to it. But a lot of the debauchery that you're describing happens, just doesn't happen in the open.
Yeah, but
And
that
the
is a
big
major difference. Like a pride parade is a public display. Like look at what we're celebrating. That's stuff that happens between, you know, people on boats and stuff and Instagram models. This is a small subsect, is not representative of the Middle East, and is also stuff that, like, if that was publicized, people would definitely stop it. It's only known because Instagram models fly and do that. That's completely different than a pride parade in Tel Aviv, or the Times of Israel says they're the gayest city in the world.
I just think you're underestimating maybe a little bit how often or how much
It happens.
undercover sex.
But that's the point.
or
Undercover.
sex parties.
That's the point. Undercover compared to public display on the streets. That's my point.
But I guess in my head, I'm like, as someone who wants to seek truth through funny, why do you prefer the principles of society that has debauchery, maybe not to the same level, maybe a bit less, but just does it in hiding versus one that's just open about it?
Because
like, why do you feel like
doing it in
go ahead.
hiding is acknowledging that it's wrong and that's not something that you should do, but also acknowledging that humans are imperfect and we all have the propensity to sin and we will sin. That's what everything is a test here. We know that we are imperfect and that we're, you know, some people are going to drink, some people are going to smoke. So like we shouldn't do it, but doing it in hiding proves and is admittance of shame. Where public pride parades that is accepting and encouraging and celebrating it. There's 100% a difference. Like sin should be, if you're going to sin, keep it in private and don't try to encourage more people to do it.
Well, when I think of Pride Parade personally, it's just like, if this is something you identify with and you want to celebrate that, celebrate that. Like, my idea of an ideal society is not one where we like, yo, hey, you not gay? I'm going to try to encourage you to be gay. Mine is just like, if you're gay, then do your thing. I don't really care how you manifest it.
I mean, but
the same way, if you're Puerto Rican or if you're Haitian, you want to manifest your identity, your nationality, your sexuality, I just don't care.
Right. But those are different. We shouldn't celebrate things that aren't productive, right? We should celebrate, like, why is there even a parade? Like, they didn't accomplish anything. Why are we celebrating losers? Like, I'm not calling all gay people losers, but I'm saying they didn't do it. Like, you're celebrating people that are just being degenerate. This is not something that's worthy of a trophy. It's like, you're gay, so congrats. That doesn't make sense. We should celebrate achievement.
When we celebrate for a variety of reasons. Maybe we're celebrating the progress we've made. You have to remember, being openly gay and not being fucking beaten in the streets where it's legal was a thing. And I think it's a great thing that we live in a society, not only where now it's legalized and people can be open and be themselves, but beyond that, we're going from not just tolerance and we're going to a certain level of acceptance. And I think that's an awesome thing.
Sure.
Where I have someone next to me and I genuinely don't tolerate them, I accept them. I don't care if they're gay. And I think what parades do, not in a huge way, but in incremental fashion, is it's just a celebration with people who may be different than you or maybe the same, and you're open, and the society will set up police structures to make sure it's safe. There will be people funding it, working together to celebrate this. And it's not to say, oh, gayness is the best or whatever. It's just...
Yeah, but it's going far. I mean, look, I see on Fifth Avenue, I live in New York City, there's like, they have dick balloons everywhere. You got people dressed up in like dog outfits crawling on all fours. You got people like, they're doing it like in front of children. This is a public display on Fifth, like in the middle of the city. right? Kids shouldn't see that stuff, like people dressing half like adults half naked. And also, I don't think it's progress, because if we acknowledge what being gay is, being gay relationships are the absence of progression because they can't have children. So it's celebrating sex that is just used for degenerate reasons and not for progression of society. Also, these people, trans, have some of the highest suicide rates of any demographic in the world. So this is the opposite. You're celebrating what I think is destructive, especially if you acknowledge that this thing is harmful, that a lot of these people are depressed, that they need meds in order to operate, they need to get surgeries in order to exist. We should celebrate humans that don't need exterior factors to feel comfortable and feel happy.
Well, when I think of pride and whatever's involved with that, when I think of celebrating, I think you celebrate like achievement or what's the best. I think it's also just to celebrate things that we're a society that, A, you may not be the ideal citizen in most people's heads or whatever the fuck it is, but we're inclusive and we embrace you and we're happy to have you.
I mean,
I think that's an okay thing to have.
I don't know if it's worth celebrating. Like, there's other people who are excluded from society, like weirdos, autists, school shooters, like freaks and stuff. Like, do they get a celebration? My point is, we should celebrate achievement. You know, two men sleeping together is not an achievement. A couple swap is not an achievement. Being a cuck is not an achievement. It's just something that, but it's not like, woo, like I just want to live in a place where like real success is celebrated.
Do you think it's an achievement to have a society that's embracing people who are very drastically different and tries to provide safety for all of them despite the differences that they may have politically or socially?
No, I don't think that's worth of celebration. Like, I can understand living at a tolerant place, but I don't think that that's worthy of a crowd applauding. No. You
don't think tolerance and acceptance of different people is worth celebrating?
No. I think achievement.
But isn't that one of the very things that you love about America? It's the freedom of religion, the idea that people from different nationalities, different backgrounds come together to make this booming economy and booming society that has so many differences, but at least coalesce underneath this one label that kind of guides you guys and you guys feel safe. Like, isn't that an amazing thing that you guys have these people who grew up in maybe war-torn spots or places where they weren't safe and persecuted, and they come to a place where doesn't matter what they look like or whatever the fuck it is, they're going to take you in, Muslim, whatever it is.
Yeah, but once those people, like if you're an immigrant and you come into this country or something and you make something and you do something and you make the world a better place, then the public should acknowledge that and be like, that you used tolerance or you used immigration, you used the American dream to create something amazing. Then people should acknowledge it and it inspires others to do the same. Celebration is only useful if it inspires, right? So if you're using this and like say you create a great piece of art, for example, Hitler, he created paintings that weren't accepted. It wasn't celebrated. He got angry, right? If he made really great art and the public celebrated it, maybe he wouldn't have taken over the world or tried to. So I think that
I disagree that that's the purpose. Sometimes you celebrate the fact that you have a freedom that didn't always exist. And that's what we're celebrating. We shouldn't take our current state for granted because there was a time when people didn't have these abilities. Like, even when we have things like Remembrance Day, it's like it's a memorial, but it's also like an honoring of the past and the fact that people died for the very freedoms that we have. And we're paying homage to that. And we're celebrating and we're showing out for this. We're saying, hey, we want to be out here and open because our forebears and the people who came before us died and never had this chance. And I think we shouldn't take for granted how much privilege we have living in these open societies. So, but I hear your perspective in regards to why you think shame might be good in some circumstances. I just also, I mean, who needs an excuse to party? But you know what I'm saying? That's me. I like stuff like that. I don't want to stay on this point too long because this actually wasn't the point of this whole section, but we can come back to this later. I wanted to kind of transition because you ended up moving on from the red pill and finding your place in Islam.
Which, yeah, I remember you thought that was a grift for a while, but I think that now people see, you know, there's no benefit. I was talking about that before you came on. It's like, for 2 days ago on stream, I ordered baby back ribs and I didn't know that they were pork. I spit it out and that gets like fucking 7 million views. Like, he's a grifter. It's like, are you really breaking it down? Why would I grift Islam? Like, what are the benefits of pretending to believe in God? I don't see what, because right, I'm on kick. So I don't take a gambling deal.
Let me challenge you on that.
Go ahead.
So why do you think Andrew Tate did it?
Yeah, I don't want to speak on his faith and everything. I want to hope that he's doing it for the right reasons. You know, if he's still a Muslim like he says, and I hope he is, and I think he is, then I hope it was genuine, and I wish the best of success to him.
Do you believe it's genuine when you see his behavior?
I think that there is some genuine aspect to it. I think at some point, but I think he's straight off the deen, and what we could do as Muslims is try to guide him in the right direction. You know, trying to overly, nitpick and everything. Like, I criticized him when he took the gambling deal because that goes against the whole escape the matrix. He was criticizing gambling for years. He said like how it's the slave mind, and then he starts promoting it. He's called everyone broke, and then if you're so rich and a billionaire, why would you take a gambling deal? So that stuff I'll point out for sure that's inconsistent. But if I'm gonna go on here and say, oh, Tate's grifting this for Dubai connections or UAE and stuff like that, that's just going to create a more bitter taste. And we know how influential he is. It's going to be bad for the Ummah, and it's going to be bad for his own personal deen. So any differences that I have with him aside, I want the best for him as a Muslim.
Okay, so I want you to steelman it. So there's actually a question that a viewer had, and they said, if you had to steelman the reason why people believe that some folks grift to Islam, what would be the steelman that you could offer? So if you had to be them and they're saying, okay, like, what do you think are some actual valid reasons from your perspective?
I don't see any. I don't, because
none.
No, especially as a content creator from my position, I don't. It's an American content creator. I stream on YouTube and Kick. There's literally no monetary benefits. No. And even fame-wise, audience benefits, no. There's so much propaganda in America against Muslims. You grew up with that, right? Or you grew up in Canada, but still, Canada felt the same thing post 9/11 hysteria. There's literally no benefit to it.
I distinctly remember in 2022, everybody in the red pill would just be like, man, Christians are so weak. Christians are whack, bro. They just let themselves be laughed at. What jokesters. But Muslims different. Muslims don't play about their religion. They serious about their shit. It was almost like this veneer of masculinity offered because there was a sense of authority to Islam. Now, that's my claim. Do you agree that that was a thing at that time?
Yeah.
So when you ask me, why would anyone want to do that? Well, there's a few different reasons. I felt as though there was quite a lot of overlap between some of the red pill talking points and a lot of the Islamic ones that people would want to reference. And then there was this air of like, I'm a red pill dual, I'm Muslim. And like red pillers all the time would talk about, I want multiple wives. And then when they use justifications, why? Islam does it. That's what they say. It's normalized. In fact, that's probably one of the main reasons I would hear that being brought up in red pill discussions, because red pillers would not stop talking about having multiple wives. And who does that more than Muslims? So there's definitely a reason to say that you were a Muslim or there was a benefit to it. It added an air of legitimacy and authority to the red pill, which didn't have that, in my opinion.
Okay. But most Muslims disagree with that sentiment and say, like, 80% of Muslims don't even have multiple wives. This is super small. And if you speak to Muslims around the world, when they focus on the 4 wives thing, they realize just how belittling that is to what's in the Quran or what Islamic faith is about. It's like such a small aspect, and it's such a minor part of the Quran that, fixating that as a talking point is unnecessary, and categorizes Islam as like, it's not beneficial.
I agree. I 100% agree, but I don't think the red pillars who were talking about Islam all the time were being genuine. And I don't think they were representing Islam in a good way, but they would constantly reference it all the time. Mm-hmm. And look, we don't have to name anybody's name, but like there are people in the community who will talk about having multiple wives. They won't really talk about religion ever, except if it's to talk about the having 9 wives or whatever the fuck it is. So I think Islam is about that? No. But there's no doubt that the veneer or the appearance of it was definitely something they used.
Yeah, I think Tate just tweeted about that again, about something about 4 wives, literally like yesterday.
Right. Yeah. And he would, and I just strictly remember reading so many tweets. And the reason why that shit would annoy me is that even though I'm not religious myself, there was an appreciation I had for people who were genuinely of faith. And it felt like whenever I hear red pillars mention Islam, it was always in this very shallow way so they can fuck a bunch of women. So Islam might not be about that, but that's what red pillars made it about. And that's why a lot of dudes said they wanted to convert so they can get the 9 wives and live their debaucherous life in a way that's holy and righteous. Mm-hmm. That's what it felt.
I think that's since been, that's a valid point. But since then, I think that's been pushed back so much. That's been debunked. So many Muslims disagree with that. I don't think that there's support for that or anybody accepts that.
Yeah, I would agree that I think now that whole talking point is gone. you don't hear people talk about Christianity the same way they were back then. But
Mm.
you had this transition, and I talked to you about this in private, but you told me, and I've seen you talk about this in public before, that your transition towards Islam, where people are saying it's not genuine, actually came from something that happened much earlier too, in relation to, I believe it's Malcolm X.
Yeah.
Right. So my first question is, how did Malcolm X play a role in your faith journey?
So maybe I don't know if you have this tweet up in your doc, but I want to pull this up. This is from, I think, 2013. I tweeted this. So I read. Let's explain the story now. I read the Malcolm X autobiography when I was about 11 or 12 years old, maybe 10. My dad gave me that book, and I love the cover of it. The cover looks really dope. And Malcolm X was a pimp. Malcolm X was a criminal. He was a drug dealer. He grew up.
His name was Red, right?
Yeah, Detroit Red. And because he had red hair, he was also mixed too, so I related to that a bit. Like he grew up with red hair, so he was already. But his father was a black nationalist and was speaking up against the KKK, and I think he was murdered by the KKK. His father, and they burned some of his house down when he was a little kid. So he grew up with a lot of hatred towards white people in his heart, and you can understand why. Like his story is just like you completely get why he had that anger, but he reverted to Islam. Well, the Nation of Islam in jail. And when he was in jail, he became educated, and he started dressing differently. He started speaking differently. He upgraded him. He ascended, and no longer was he like this pimp and dyeing his hair, or not dyeing his hair because I have blonde hair, but he was straightening his hair to try to make it seem like it was try to fit in with white people. He grew up the way it naturally was. He read the dictionary. He became like Kai Cenat right now, and he became somebody that was really well respected, well spoken, and a great speaker. Then there's the final journey of his arc. Like, because the Nation of Islam is somewhat cultish. I don't want to disrespect them, but they do somewhat worship Elijah Muhammad, who they say is a false prophet. In Islam, we don't believe in Elijah Muhammad. This is has nothing to do with Islam. He went to Mecca, and during that, he went to Hajj. And during Hajj, he was standing side by side and praying, because as Muslims, we stand shoulder to shoulder with people when we pray. And he would share food afterwards, after the prayer. They're they're sitting down, they're eating, and he's eating next to white people. And he realized there, standing side by side, that we're all brothers. That it's not based off skin color. God judges us based off of our works and what we do and how we are, what's in our heart. And he wrote a letter. It's called Letter from Mecca. He wrote a letter to the Nation of Islam, and he said he realized that the whole racial superiority thing that was gone. He realized in Mecca what peace really was. He realized what we're supposed to do. And he denounced the Nation of Islam, and soon later he was assassinated. So I really loved that book. Loved seeing his life story, the way he wrote, and also that transformation. And I tweeted, I really want to bring this up because it does annoy me. If someone can link it in the chat. It does annoy me when people say like, "Oh, Sneako's grifting Islam." It's like,
you've been talking about this for a long time, well prior.
Yeah,
to
there's a
The
tweet.
tweet we showed.
Yeah, the tweet is from 2013. Somebody please link it in the chat for me. I tweeted, after reading the Malcolm X autobiography, I seriously considered converting to Islam. I think I was like 13 or 14 when I tweeted that, and I was 11 or 12 when I read the book. So it's something that I've been seriously considering my whole life. I grew up Catholic, but I never resonated with the idea. And shout out to the Catholics, Lent's coming up, but the Trinity is not in the Bible. And Catholicism, they said, I went to Catholic school. I was almost confirmed, went to catechism, all this stuff. I don't believe that we should be praying to Mary. I don't believe in praying to saints. I don't believe in praying to a man. I always saw Jesus as a prophet. When I prayed as a kid, as a Catholic, I would pray to God. I wouldn't pray to the Holy Spirit. And so when I learned what Islam was, I'm like, wait, this is what I am. This is what I've always done. I've always prayed to God. I didn't pray to St. Anthony. I was praying to God alone. So it just made sense. It's just something that aligned with something that I've always believed in.
What?
Yeah, I'll share the tweet right here if you could see on the screen. This is from April.
Wait 1 second. I think let me stop stream because I think it might mess it up for you. 2 seconds. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so it says, this is April 2nd, 2015. Gotta admit, after doing extended research on Malcolm X, I seriously considered converting to Islam. This is 11 years ago I tweeted this. 11 years ago. There's the same Twitter account. Yeah, so like this is definitely, I think this should disprove people saying that the grift stuff or whatever.
All right, hold up. I gotta stream something, or else it's gonna fuck it up. Man, I'm not good with this OBS shit.
And people I know, Christians are upset and saying Jesus is king. I have all respect for Christians, man. I really think that it's proper guidance and everything. It's just not something that they can believe in. There's no reference of the Trinity in the Bible, and people are saying, "Oh, you pray to Muhammad." No, we don't. Muhammad is the prophet. Jesus is the Messiah. There's so many overlaps between Christianity and Islam. We also believe that Jesus will return and Jesus is the Messiah. That Jesus is a prophet. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. We don't pray to Muhammad, peace be upon him. We pray to God and God alone. The biggest sin is praying to others than God. La ilaha illallah. There's only one worthy of worship.
What do you feel like your faith and you converting to Islam has given you?
It gave me so I said earlier, I knew this was going to go here. Like, what were you looking for when I was making those videos when I was a kid? I was looking for truth, and I found it. I found what the truth is, that there's one God, that people are always going to worship something, and if it's not God, it's going to be false idols, celebrities themselves. It's going to be their own ego. They're going to worship money. They'll worship fame. They'll worship, Nicki Minaj or Trump. So we got to realize that we have to put our worship somewhere, and the best place of worship to put is toward the one almighty creator. And I found that truth, and now I know what I'm supposed to do. I no longer fear death. I know that this life is temporary. I know that this life is a test. And I know what my exact mission is and what I'm supposed to do.
What do you feel like your faith change has cost you?
It's cost me, well, I mean, if you're going to say, like, the gambling deal was offered 8 figures to gamble. I mean, I'm not going to gamble. I don't think I ever really would have, to be honest with you. I think it's cost me, probably some audience members. You see, like, whenever I talk about that, like, even right now, you see the reaction. Christians get upset, and, they try to disprove it. You get heavy criticism. People hold you to a different standard. It's funny that the same time, like the same day where, I accidentally take a bite of pork and spit it out, that gets international, like that's like literally everywhere, millions of views. That's the same day that Elijah Schaefer and Sarah Stock, these are both conservative Christian creators. I know both and I like them both. Apparently, Elijah was Sarah's boss and he sleeps with her. They're both married and they're cheating in their relationship and it was exposed. You could see different standards being placed. Christians will be like, okay, they're imperfect, they're sinning, and I agree. But if I accidentally pour, the scrutiny that you get for being Muslim is amplified times 1,000 compared to other relations. When you're public about it, there's so much more division, anger. There's more of a target. Not only that, you get it from the Zionist agenda that has done so much to call Muslims terrorists and to try to say that the radical Islamists are taking over America. You're like, what are you talking about? Trump brought Netanyahu 5 times this term here. Trump had Mark Levin put his arm around Trump and said, Trump's the first Jewish president. And Trump goes, it's true. It's true. It's like, so how are Muslims taking over America when just look what's in your face? Muslims make up, 3% of the American population? And they say Muslims are taking over because they're praying in Times Square. It's like, what? This is like an Eid prayer. Times Square is a place where drug deals and Cookie Monster and gorillas hang out, and Mexican Elmo's taking pictures of money. It's like, okay, this prayer took 15 minutes. This is really a huge deal. So it's just,
but we just not gonna let you celebrate in our square, bro. Like, y'all just praying. Y'all can do that at home. You don't gotta do that over here.
I don't consider that a celebration. Prayer is different than pride.
It's worship. You can worship at home, bro.
You could, but there's a difference between pride, which is one of the seven deadly. You shouldn't even take pride in this stuff. Praying is a gathering, and obviously there's so many people you can't fit in a mosque. You can't fit in home.
They can do it in the parking lot. You gotta do that in our spaces. We don't want to. No pride parades, no Puerto Rican parades, no public displays of like everybody praying together. We want none of that. None of those freedoms.
Well, there is Puerto Rican Day.
If you're not winning, if you're not achieving something, I don't want to see you in the streets out here gathering in big numbers.
No, there's a difference between that. I said celebration, right? Puerto Rican parades, Dominican parades, all this stuff, Chinese, they celebrate, they have this all the time. So if there's like a 15-minute prayer, this should also be allowed in
I'll just fuck with you.
Yeah, I get you. I get the argument.
All right. People often question your religious change. What is something that you do as labor that people don't necessarily see, but that you feel like is part of your religious journey or your bond? And that's something that's more regular.
Repeat. I don't understand the question.
So, faith and a journey of faith is normally something that involves labor. Now, labor could be a lot of different things. It's reoccurring commitment and action that you will take. So, what is a form of that that you do from a religious standpoint that people don't necessarily see online?
I mean, Juma prayer, the Isha prayer, Fajr. I mean, right now, to be perfectly, I'm not perfect. I have been missing a lot of prayers. I'm streaming so much. Maybe I should take a break during stream to pray. But I mean, zakat is something that doesn't happen on stream. That's the charity. You're supposed to give 2.5% of your earnings every year to charity. All this stuff is not public. Going to the masjid every Friday. There's not that much. I've been streaming.
Masjid, mosque, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So these are things that not necessarily happen on camera or people don't necessarily are aware about, but these are things that you do that feel like they ground you and it's part of the process you need.
Yeah, but I wouldn't call it labor. It's like before I was.
It could be duty. It could be a duty, responsibility, whatever. Labor is just the idea of working towards something. It's something that you have to do.
Yeah, I don't see it as work because it's what is the best for you. Like before IRL streams in Miami, I always play Ayatul Kursi, which is the protection prayer. It's supposed to protect you because I'm around a lot of demonic activity. Get the evil eye on me all the time. A lot of people trying to destroy me or even put threats on my life and try to kill me. So it's like that protection does keep you steadfast and helps me. It's reassuring.
Got you. Okay. If you had to describe Malcolm X politically or spiritually, how would you do that?
As somebody who grew up.
What do you stand for?
Growth. I think he's the physical representation of growth and of, he grew up in extremely difficult circumstances and he became the best he could be.
And how would you describe him politically? How would you describe him politically?
So most of his time politically, a lot of white supremacists actually did like him because he was also advocating for segregation. And perhaps that's why he was assassinated, because eventually he was preaching for unity towards the end, right after Mecca. But beforehand, he wanted segregation. White supremacists were like, oh yeah, us too. Malcolm X was saying that black people need to work for each other, that we need to get rid of this mindset that's holding us back. He was trying to uplift and trying to adopt the same ideology that the white people had for black people specifically. So politically, it does kind of range. Some people say that he was a socialist. I know Malcolm X definitely leaned towards democratic socialism and communism. Malcolm X, he was very critical of Zionism as well. But I would say he didn't really tap into, from my understanding, his books and his speeches, it was mostly about how black people should work together.
Well, post Nation of Islam, there was a lot of discussion from him about human rights. It shifted from black rights to human rights specifically. And he believed in the potential to work with folks. He didn't believe in the idea that whites were necessarily evil, that, there's good in all groups of people. And that was part of his faith journey. Even when you say like white supremacists kind of like that, I don't think that's a very accurate retelling. He wanted a space that was safe for black folks. The idea of white supremacists wasn't one in which black people had freedom and safety or segregation and that they were separated, so that they were treated as second-class citizens and their privileged position in society was maintained. So I kind of reject that idea that what you described at the end there in terms of him. I do agree that there was some aspect of separation, but, segregation, especially in that time, there's no way that they were aligned in that regard. Do you think they were?
There were definitely differences, but what they agreed upon is some aspects of segregation. Obviously, the white supremacists were probably saying, right, second-class citizens, but Malcolm X was also advocating for segregation. Not the same way, but there was an overlap. He wanted the best. He wanted black people to work for themselves. And so many white supremacists were like, this guy wants them to be by themselves? Okay, cool. Let's embrace him.
Okay. If Malcolm X existed today, what do you think he would think of you?
That's a good question. I think he would disagree with my alignment with some people. I think he would be critical about the overlap that I have with political figures, and I think he would. Well, it depends on which Malcolm X. To be honest with you, like you talk about Detroit Red.
We'll talk about post Nation of Islam, because I think that's the most evolved or the most learned person. So
Mecca Malcolm.
Yeah, post Nation of Islam, so after Mecca. Yeah,
I think he would disagree with Nick Fuentes a lot, and he would try to guide people, or he'd try to lead. I think he would, be very politically active. I think he'd be very critical of Israel. He was. He was like really. He was spot on about Israel back then, and the manipulation going on in New York City specifically. He's done a lot of speeches about that. I think he would spend a lot of time talking about Netanyahu, criticizing Trump for that, and I think he'd be very critical of the conservative movement. And what he would think of me is like that. He'd definitely point out some of the allies I keep and say that that's imperfect.
Well, let's entertain a hypothetical where you guys do have that conversation. What does that make you think or feel, knowing that?
Yeah, I would explain to him that there's a lot of benefits, and like my strategy is maybe it won't align perfectly with what he believes in, but it's an effective strategy. And it's hard to contextualize because the propaganda against Muslims was not the same as it was today. We live in post 9/11 world. Obviously that's died down a lot, but people have a stigma towards Muslims that they didn't have back then. So I think it's very valuable to have friends and allies that may not agree with you completely, because it shows that we can exist in the liberal democracy that's also the Christian nation of America without being terrorist, horrible people that they try so hard to claim we are.
I think this transitions nicely into the next part. You've talked about many issues, and you've asked oftentimes why people don't use their voice to speak on certain issues. Example, when it came to Haiti, there's a clip I saw where you wondered why people who were Haitian or part Haitian, like Kai Cenat or your age, didn't speak on Haiti specifically. Do you believe content creators have influence, and what responsibility do you think they have with that influence?
Of course, content creators are more influential than politicians now. We have the minds. They realize how effective that is. Mamdani's whole campaign was through social media. That's why Netanyahu was paying $7,000 to influencers to promote Israeli propaganda. And this situation, I had a whole back and forth. So many, white people online got upset because Trump was putting out this false story that Haitians were eating cats and dogs in America. And it turns out that video that went viral was an African-American woman. She wasn't even Haitian. And so after he's like, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. And I'm like, actually, no, they're not. This is not. I mean, the story here that happened in America that had nothing to do with the Haitian woman. So I was pushing back against that. I was a little disappointed because obviously, look at me. People align me with, they say I'm a white supremacist and this stuff. Like Rabbi Shmuley called me that. But my dad is from Haiti. I go to Haiti almost every year. I didn't go last year because it's overrun by gangs. It's unsafe now. But I've been there every year almost my whole life. I could speak Creole pretty well. And when I was talking about that false story, I didn't see other Haitian content creators. Your age is one of the Florida Haitians. Kai Cenat is half Haitian. Nobody spoke about it. Obviously, they want to do their streams and do fun content, but it would have been valuable to hear that. And I faced so much heat, bro. I took, people say like I'm grifting the red pill. Like all the red pill hated me for saying this and started. I took all the heat for Haitians. And I'm like, bro, where's the solidarity? Can you guys say a word about this?
Yeah, I'm just gonna play a couple of clips. 'Cause I actually did look up some stuff in this regards. Let's just do it this way.
I get that people can make fun of it and stuff because they've never been there, but Haiti's one of the poorest countries in the world, and they're dealing with so much already. The president was assassinated in his home in 2021. Right, it's extremely poor. The currency is not doing well.
it's not in a good situation. There's not a lot of clean water. There's not a lot of gas. There's not a lot of jobs, opportunities, and you could debate about why. There's a lot of back and forth about like why that is. I'll tell you this, because people don't understand things about Haiti. Haiti was one of the first nations to become independent after slavery in 1804. Toussaint Louverture, he led the Haitians to go and kill their slave owners, which I think is base, badass. See, everyone complains about like how slavery is a mentality and how black people have a victim mentality. They do. Black people in America have held on to a victim mentality for too long. You know who didn't? The Haitians. They went in there and they said, you chains? But since then, after that happened, they are still in debt to the French government over 200 years later. They're still in debt. So in a way, they're still a slave nation, right? They said that to repay, because obviously after they kill their slave masters, are they really gonna beat the French government? Are they really gonna defeat that empire? No, they're not gonna beat them. So they said, like, in order to repay what you did, you're gonna be in debt. So the French bank technically still owns Haiti. So in a way, it's still a colony. And then
I'm just gonna play another clip here.
This video is from
Dès que
2021.
nous-mêmes haïtiens, nous commençons à comprendre ça nous a supposé comprendre. Nous commençons à faire des recherches sur l'originalité nous.
C'est deux grands différents entre Haïti et États-Unis.
Comme quoi?
Même les ça pas bon, il a fait il faut.
When I was a kid, nobody in my school even knew what Haiti was. They'd be like, oh, I'm going to Haiti for Christmas. Haiti? What do you hate? You hate me? Some people just knew it for the voodoo. Like, I remember when kids saw Indiana Jones and then they had that voodoo scene, the hum nun shvai, and they take the doll and hum nun shvai, and they rip your heart out of you. They thought that that's what Haiti was.
And yeah, you guys, yeah, you talked about Haiti pretty extensively from some of the stuff that I saw. But yeah, you'd gone there quite a lot. You have an attachment to it, and you were rather upset when you were watching everybody go off on Haitians during some of the Trump debates.
Yeah.
And during that period.
Matt Walsh still calls me that. He says, oh, Sneako's a Haitian third world communist Islamist because I defend Haiti from the lies. And it's like, people like Matt Walsh, these grifters, won't talk about Israel because they're owned by Ben Shapiro's, they're Goy slaves, but he will shit on Haiti because it's an easy target, right? It's a poor country, and they've faced so many attacks, and it's destabilized. It's very poor. So of course it's be like, oh, look at these stupid Haitians, and they use it to garner a populist movement and pretend like it's like this undercover way to get racists to like your content without saying it. Like when Matt Walsh is calling me like a Haitian third worldist, what he's really saying is the hard R without saying it. And so I see it as fraudulent. I think he's just doing that to seem like he's really based and cool while not knowing anything about it. He's done debates about Haiti. He didn't know about the Clinton Foundation. He doesn't know about the connections that were very clear after the president Jovenel Moise was assassinated. He doesn't know anything. He just knows that it's poor and that he can dunk on it because he won't get any pushback because Haitians in America don't really speak up.
Yeah, I would agree that they probably just kind of stayed in their lane and try to just get by. Well,
content creators.
Yeah,
average Haitians, yeah, but I'm like the content creators specifically. But
yeah. I've been to Haiti before. I went 2012. On top of that, here in Montreal, we have a huge Haitian population. So, in fact, I would say over half of my friends, who I've known for decades now, are Haitian. So for me, I have a lot of proximity. I've learned a lot about the culture. Took classes, even learned how to speak. So I think that's why you learned that I speak Creole. Même si m'pas gen yon accent qui est bon, m'kap communiquer avec moun yo parce que m'kap lire, m'kap écrire dans créole, m'kap communiquer avec tout haïtien que m'pral rencontrer. And for me,
pas mal.
Pas mal? Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, man. Me and Preach, every time we heard you speak Creole, we're like, hey, boy, we're gonna have to set you up with some classes. You know what I mean? But to be fair, you know what I mean?
My accent is better. You definitely have a better vocabulary, but my accent is better. I'll take that.
Nah, bro, you do a bit of the stereotypical, over exaggerated. I do an accent where it's very clear I don't speak it as a first language. Your accent is a little bit of the it's a little bit of the you ever seen those old cartoons where Tintin, and every time they had black people, they had the big ass lips with the darkest skin? Your accent is kind of like that for Creole. It's a little bit of the exaggerated one. I'm not gonna lie. A little bit. I'm not gonna lie. But I do think that your love for the country is very genuine. And when you're hearing all these conservatives say all this stuff from all across, I went to go watch your coverage. I watched you feel some type of way. And then there was other clips I saw you that I was very like a little bit confused by. So I'm gonna pop them in. I want to show them to you. You can give me context afterwards.
And by the way, Myron's in the chat. What's up, Myron? He's talking some smack. But let's see this clip.
Well, that's good for him. So right here.
My cousin's a black guy, lives in Haiti to this day. And he told me like, oh yeah, Haitian guys, when they get hungover, what they do is they roast cats and dogs. The cats specifically, they eat roasted cat and it like heals the hangover. I talked to my grandma and my grandma.
Sneako, you're fucking kidding right now. You're telling me the hangover cure in Haiti is barbecuing a cat.
That's what I heard from my
I rescue cats. I literally...
Okay, now, I couldn't find the full clip for this, so I'm going to let you just speak on it, and then I'm going to play something else.
Yeah, so this is the truth about that situation. The video that went viral, they say Haitians are coming in America and eating cats. That's not true. That video that they talked about, that was an African-American woman. I didn't know that. So I asked my family. My family lives in Haiti. Like my cousin, my grandmother, like most of my family on my dad's side lives in Haiti right now. So I asked them about it, and they're like, oh yeah, like some of them, like this does happen, in Haiti. And my cousin told me, this is what I heard from my cousin. He said that in the mountains, the neighborhood is called, I can't remember off the top of my head. It's north of Pétionville. They some people will get hungover, and to cure the hangover, they'll eat roasted cat. That's what he told me.
Okay.
So I'm repeating, and this is after like I was doing so much defense work. I'm like, oh shit. So maybe it's untrue, but that's what I heard from Haitians.
Got you. Okay. I'm going to. So I'm gonna just give a quick warning because this is an edit. Okay, so there is a bit of like a clipping thing going on. Okay, but they're playing some back and forth stuff. And I want to just pop this in because I ended up just kind of ripping it. All right, now I'm giving that disclaimer. There's probably some context to a lot of these clips that's missing, but there's just a bit of contrast with some of the clips, and I want you to kind of just walk me through, okay?
All right, sure.
If you believe
all right, here it is.
that you're superior because you're white, you are Jewish.
Montage.
The reason that they're lying, so comfortable lying about a Christian country, their Christian brothers in Haiti, is because they don't consider them people. They don't consider them brothers at all.
Flashback.
The reason that the earthquake might have happened in Haiti, not Dominican Republic, is because they practice something called voodoo. They call themselves Christians in Haiti, but at the same time, they practice a voodoo, like an African voodoo version of Christianity.
The next.
Okay, so I just want to talk about that one clip.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, there's inconsistencies with Christianity in America as well. There's inconsistencies with the Christianity in Haiti. Right, so many Christians in America will prioritize America and put nationalism above their creed, or they'll only see white Christians as brothers. That's an inconsistency with Christianity. There's inconsistencies with the Christianity in Haiti. So many of them, they'll like on all the tap-taps, which is the cars where the big cabs, everybody goes. It says Jesus is king, Jesus is king. But also voodoo is so rampant, which has nothing to do with core Christianity. So many Haitians, they are Christian, but they have mixed it up with voodoo. So you can make the same comparison to Western nations who say like, okay, America's a Christian country, but also, prioritize nationalism. It still is Christianity, but they have mixed it up with other things.
So my question is, when you say, I'm sure you've heard this from somebody else, but when you say something like, the reason some people believe that the earthquake happened
is because there's a punishment for voodoo. Yeah.
Okay. What do you think about that?
I was there right after the earthquake. I was even there for one of the aftershocks in Haiti. And the earthquake infamously did not even touch the Dominican Republic. So, which is strange because Hispaniola is such a small island. How could this earthquake only affect Haiti? A lot of the theory is that the reason so many bad things happen in Haiti is because of the rampant witchcraft. There's a lot of witchcraft that goes on, undeniably. So it is a Christian country. It's majority Catholic, but there's so much witchcraft going on too. There's a lot of witchcraft going on in America. Maybe that's why so many bad things happen in America. So many young girls practice astrology, and there's a lot of witchcraft is more rampant than ever. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I think my issue is like, I understand, you're hearing this secondhand, so you're just repeating it. But it's like, if you just look up tectonic plates, I'm pretty confident you're going to find out that Haiti just happens to be in a bad spot regards to where it's located, and the tectonic plates kind of dictate some of that stuff.
But why? It is. Do you not find it a little strange that Dominican Republic didn't get hit at all, even though they do practice Santeria there?
No, it's not. I'll explain why it's not weird. Because if you look at Haiti's geography, I'm pretty sure if you go to the northern part, they don't get hit by earthquakes nearly as much. It's all Haiti. Why does only one part of it get hit? It's probably just a matter of location.
Sure.
And if you know anything about Port-au-Prince, a lot of the population is very deeply condensed around there. So the most likely scenario is that there's an actual legit scientific reason for why one place
sure.
It's like
I don't even.
It's like why do some places get hurricanes versus others? I don't think it's a matter necessarily of religion. It's like if you live under certain currents by certain oceans, you're gonna have more likelihood. That's why Canada doesn't get hurricanes, because we're just not in a position to get them. But when the reason I'm bringing this up, I think you have a genuine love for Haiti. But if you get online and you're repeating this stuff about people that a lot of folks don't know about, and you aren't at all certain, you're just repeating, that's going to be a lot of people's interpretation of what Haiti is. Like you speak early in the video and you say, nobody really knows what Haiti's about. They watched a movie and they saw somebody's heart get snatched and they think it's voodoo. And then I watch another clip of you and it's you not fact checking, not looking into it, and you're repeating it. You're doing the exact same thing in a way.
Let me respond to that. I don't believe that fully, that's the I've never reported that. I've reported about the theory that people say, but Haiti's faced so many natural disasters, had presidents assassinated, so many corrupt politicians, so many bad things have happened to Haiti ever since the slave owners were assassinated. And some people report that the slaves went to the forest and used witchcraft in order to get strong enough in order to kill the slave masters. And if you look at the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, which I think is now in modern-day Tel Aviv, where the pride parades we spoke about earlier are happening. Sodom and Gomorrah is a biblical story where this city was practicing so much sex magic and degeneracy that eventually God's like, all right, I've had enough, and punished Sodom and Gomorrah. People could apply that theory and say, okay, if this is a place where so much witchcraft is going on, there are going to be punishments. So maybe it's not a coincidence that earthquakes and natural disasters and so much evil happens to a place where witchcraft is rampant. I'm not saying that's 100% true.
Okay,
the majority of Haitians are good people, but that's maybe there's something there.
But what's happening now is that you're kind of just looking at this coincidence or this incident, and then you're linking them, and then you're saying that out loud. The problem when you do that is people are not going to do the secondhand research afterwards. That's why these things carry weight, and I say that because you'll talk about the cats and dogs in Haiti and the whole story that was told about the lady not being true, but people are just using the exact same logic, right? There's a huge Haitian population. There's a story about cats and dogs being eaten in Springfield. Well, coincidence. And that's all people are going to go off of. Mm-hmm. And they're going to repeat it ad nauseum. So there has to be a little bit more.
But I'm also not going to lie. If I hear from my Haitian family, if I hear from people in Haiti, maybe you should ask Preach about that. If you hear from Haitians oh wait, sometimes this is going on. Even my other friend Lenz, one of my close friends from New York, is a Haitian guy, and he says oh yeah, no, Haitians eat yeah, sometimes that. But obviously it wasn't happening in America. That's my point. But also if I hear this, I'm not going to cover up. I'm not a liar. This is.
Well, no one's asking you to lie, but I think if you don't know something, don't confirm it. If my friend says this person raped somebody else, I'm not going to repeat that publicly.
Well, I'm not repeating it as if it's factual. What I said in that clip was my cousin told me that Haitians eat cats. My friend told me that Haitian cat. My grandmother told me that Haitians eat cats in Haiti. So I'm repeating that. I'm not saying all Haitians do, but
I get it. I get it. Okay, Sneako, I'll give you an example. A friend of mine told me that Sneako raped this girl. I say that publicly. I'm not saying it's a fact. What happens?
Well, did your friend tell you that?
It's a hypothetical, but I'm asking you.
Well, in that hypothetical, did your friend tell you that?
Yes, my friend told me that.
Then you're telling the truth. And then what you could follow up with that is my friend told me that Sneako did this, but maybe it's not true or this, but this is what I heard. I don't believe him to be somebody who would do that. Maybe he's telling a lie. You're still what you are doing in the hypothetical is still telling the truth.
I'm telling the truth that I don't know is true. I have no way to know it's true. I'm just hearing this secondhand. But the implications for the person, so implications for you, after I go on my live stream and say, I heard Sneako grape somebody, is that people are going to be coming for you afterwards.
Well, I also saw videos ever since the gangs have now taken over Haiti. It's an unsafe place. I've seen videos of that happening in Haiti. But it's not happening in America, but I've seen it. Maybe the video's AI, perhaps, but...
You seen what you seen earthquakes start after Voodoo?
Not earthquakes. I've seen like videos of like cats being fried and stuff happening in Haiti. But my point was that the story that Trump was spreading, it wasn't happening in America. That was false.
I think the point I'm trying to make is that a lot of these places have bad PR, and I feel like sometimes people just talk very loosely, and I think they add to that, and then afterwards they'll be like, "Why are we viewed a certain type of way?" But like, folks end up playing into a lot of these things, and people will sometimes ask me like, "Is Haiti like this or Haiti like that?" I can speak about what I know. I'm not going to just go off some rumors and then repeat that, one, because we already get enough bad rep from media that does it intentionally. And then secondly, because I have the color of skin and because I visited, people are going to take me as a bit more of an authority figure. The same way you're one of the few content creators that speaks about Haiti. So I'm just saying, if you
but I'm not going to run cover it because I told you in the beginning, my motto.
No one's asking to run cover. I'm not lying either. I'm not telling you to lie. I'm just saying, if you're going to speak on it, speak on what you know.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Completely fair.
That's what I'm getting.
This is my friend Lenz. Okay, Lenz, where are you from?
I'm Haitian. I'm from Haiti.
Okay, you're from Haiti. When did you come to America? I'm on speaking about Haiti with Abba right now. We're talking about the cat situation.
Okay.
Obviously the story that Trump spread around in Haiti about cats and dogs was false, but what can you tell me? You grew up in Haiti. What can you tell me about the cats and dogs or the cat stuff in Haiti?
It's actually real.
Can you explain a little further?
Like, there are certain parts in Haiti where people actually eat cats. It's real. It's not a. But the thing that happened in the States it wasn't real.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And can you speak? Abba speaks Creole. Can you speak a little Creole to let's get some proof that you're Haitian? You guys. Go ahead.
No. I mean, I'm not Haitian. I speak Creole. I want to ask him a question.
No, for the chat, for the people watching.
I want to ask a question. One second.
Let me turn on my speaker so we can hear you. Hold on. Give me a second, Abba.
So my one question for him is...
Speakers, 1 second, Abba. Speak. 1 second, Lenz. I'm switching the output. Hold on.
No problem.
So he asked, talk one more time, Abba.
So do you believe voodoo works when people cast these spells?
Okay, so he's saying you can hear now. Is he saying is voodoo real, Lenz?
Is voodoo real?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, voodoo is real, and voodoo exists mainly. Like, if you go to Africa, they have the real voodoo in Africa. Yes, it originated, from them. Us Haitian, we have it, but it's not where. If you really want to know what real voodoo is, go to Africa. Go to Benin.
Okay.
Benin, Congo.
Okay, so my question for you is, what did these voodoo practitioners do to people? Give an example.
I mean, I think we have a very, narrow understanding about voodoo. They could heal people. They could heal people. They could also, hurt people as well. It's the same way when you think about it, right? Let's say somebody's walking down the street. You say, "Oh, I hope God, does something bad to you." And it's the same way that voodoo is used. Like, they use it to do something bad to somebody. The same way you could use it to, kill people, you could also use it to help people. In the same way you could pray for somebody, it's the same way you could wish harm upon somebody. And that's the whole perspective of it.
Okay, good. You can take off your speaker.
What do you say, Albert? I couldn't hear you.
You can take me off speaker.
Okay. Thanks, Lenz. I appreciate it. Merci beaucoup.
Bye-bye.
Oh.
Uh-huh. So...
Let me switch back. And 1 second. My apologies. Go ahead.
So the reason why I asked that question, I'm still on speaker.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh.
Output device. Yeah, here we go. Fixed. Yeah,
cool.
We're all good.
The reason why I asked that question is my experience. Listen, whether the cats and dogs thing is real, I don't know. I have a hard time, even being from Ethiopia, when someone tells me, "Oh, this is a thing that happens here" or whatever. My experience growing up in Ethiopia is like word of mouth happens. People heard it from someone else, and then they heard it from someone else. And by the time you heard it, it's like seventh layer. Like, nobody, or very rarely do people say they saw it in person. They say that my family, it's always like that. And the reason why I brought up the voodoo thing is that's also another example. Like sometimes people tell me like, yeah, they're casting spells and they're fucking cursing people and it works because then they fall dead. Like, guys, if voodoo really works, every government would be using it to do assassinations. Okay, I'm sorry, but a lot of this stuff,
well, you could argue
I'm
they
not
do.
buying
I
it.
mean, you could argue that like Israel, for example, does use witchcraft.
I'm sure the U.S. State Department has invested billions in dollars in voodoo practitioners. But my point is, I don't have factual discussions about what happens here or there with a lot of folks because most of it is third-hand accounts that I've heard, and then all of a sudden it just becomes true. And this happens with a lot of situations or a lot of facts that we take as true. So, at least me,
is this not a first-hand account?
I'm looking at a place
he's from Haiti.
You could be from. I'm from Ethiopia. Does everything I say about Ethiopia become true? Do you think I've seen everything that happens in Ethiopia, including the remote parts?
I'm
No.
not saying, but
I can
all we can do
promise
is use evidence as we have. Like, and what's a better example than using somebody you know from Haiti?
I'm saying that that's not evidence enough for me to go online and then repeat something like that. That's just me personally. I'm not gonna say, yeah, my friend is from China and he says that he saw all the Chinese people eat a bunch of lambs as soon as they fell from the sky. He said he saw that, and I'm just not repeating that. That sounds a little bit fantastical.
Why do you believe
a little bit extreme.
Why do you believe in Dubai, like people pooping on each other in Dubai? If you haven't seen that firsthand, if you only heard
because
it.
I have literally seen the conversations, I've seen the exposés, I've seen all that stuff. So there's actually investigative work where they've exposed people. For me, I would not just repeat it, fucking, I heard it in Dubai. No, I've actually seen the evidence of it. And I think the problem is, like,
the evidence is that they hear it from people?
No, the evidence is that there's actually people who pose as Dubai folks, got videos involved. There's actual videos that were released from there.
That's the same thing about the cat situation. I've seen videos of it. I've heard firsthand accounts.
Okay, so if that's the case, if you have real credentials, that's fine. Earlier, all you said is, I heard from a friend. That's all that.
And I just spoke to the friend, and I heard from my cousin, I heard from my grandmother. I know many Haitians. My family's from Haiti.
If you've seen the videos, the point I'm trying to make is when you say something like the earthquake happened, potentially because of voodoo. Or it's like, well, are there any other explanations for why? I guess what I'm scrutinizing is like, what is your method of repeating things online? Like you said, there's weight and influence, and you're like, people should talk about these things. I'm like, great. If you feel like people have influence, isn't there a responsibility with how you engage with this stuff, especially about places that already get bad PR? That's what I'm trying to raise.
Yeah, I think that's what it's really about. You see, rightfully so, you see Haiti get so many attacks. Why add on to that? Why spread more negative stereotypes? But my method, it's not that I'm here trying to do PR for anybody. I'm just telling the truth about what I know. And I see the same thing, like I see that identical to the Dubai poop stuff. Like you haven't seen anybody actually shit on a girl in Dubai, but you've heard about it from enough people.
No, I think what I've seen are actual text message threads. I've seen people posing as a Dubai recruiter. I've seen videos on recording sent to that person talking about what they wanted to do. I've seen the whole flight logs. There's a lot of actual evidence that goes into knowing what's going on. There's people who literally told first-hand accounts of what they went and did and then showed their receipts of actually having been there. That's a completely different standard. If you got interviews with people saying, I did this or I did that, that's different. I understand you're trying to make that analogy. I feel like they're different, but I just wanted to raise that one point too in regards to Haiti. I want to, from there, let me see here. Because I think we got a little sidetracked there. I wasn't expecting all that. One of the videos I saw where you were talking about Haiti you said you always defend your people and you're proud. Do you agree with that? Like you're very proud about the fact that you're defending Haitians and that you go to bat for them? I've seen you also do that, I believe, with Asians in regards to like stop, because you feel like Asians don't defend themselves and they often get picked on. I think I saw you started talking about like the Stop Asian Hate stuff.
Yeah, 100%. Well, the Stop Asian Hate stuff was actually funny because post-COVID, Asians in New York were getting attacked a lot on the train. But, well, it's not funny, but the uncomfortable truth that people weren't acknowledging is that the majority of the hate crimes were from black people. But the reason they didn't say that is because it doesn't fit the narrative that whites are the oppressor. And so I would go to these Stop Asian Hate things, and because old Asian ladies were getting attacked, getting pushed into the train tracks, but they weren't talking about like that it was mostly black people doing it because they didn't want to seem like they were racist, which was, I'm able to point it out because I'm a lot of different races, and I don't get criticized or scrutinized for being racist as much as other people, and I won't get silenced that way. But like I said, I try to be as truthful as I can be. And I don't say that I would take pride in it, because pride is a sin. It's just that this is what I'm supposed to do. Like, I don't want to say anything untrue. I try my best to tell the truth.
So wait, are you saying that? Okay, I actually didn't know this part. So you think that blacks are the ones who commit most of the crimes?
Most of the crime during
Asians?
Stop Asian Hate post-COVID, most of these attacks were it was like majority black people, but they weren't discussing it. When they were saying Stop Asian Hate, they were acting like it was all right, but it was majority black people doing it, because, you know, if anyone lives in New York, I don't have the stats right here, majority of homeless people and stuff, like if you go on the train, the crackheads, stuff like this, it's like it's clear who, like, let's be honest for a second. And people can't have that conversation because they don't want to be called racist, but that's who's going to be the one pushing a lady into the train tracks, is a crackhead who's homeless on the train station, who's the majority of people doing it. I mean, if you look at all the videos, it was almost all...
Okay, can I ask if what you're saying is true, that black folks are doing that? Let's say hypothetically it is true. What are the implications of that, and what's the problem there? What do you see as the issue, if that's true?
That maybe there's a bigger problem over here, like maybe that the crime is not being addressed, or the black homeless rate and the black drug addicted rate in New York City is not being addressed properly because people don't want to be called racist. That Asians have to live in fear, and Asians can't speak about what they know to be true because they don't also want to be called racist.
Yeah, so they have to live in fear, like black folks, potential hate crimes, or for whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be homelessness, like you said, drug, but like black folks will go after him, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But again, I didn't know this until like 5 seconds ago. But just like, so this is all I found on this. It says, and I'll put it up on the screen so you can see it. I'll pull it up on the, and I will just expand this a little bit. You can read it yourself. And I will read it out loud.
Scholars have challenged this Black-Asian conflict narrative by highlighting that white perpetrators commit over 75% of anti-Asian hate crimes. I remember the stat. So what's considered a hate crime is also verbal. So if you yell at somebody, that's labeled as a hate crime. What was really important from hate crimes, because I think this statistic is manipulated, is violent attacks. The violent attacks are separate from a hate crime. This is why I think the stat's manipulated.
Okay. Do you have any statistical number that shows that black could violent?
I could look up the definition of hate crime. It's verbal attacks as
well. No. I'm asking if you have any study or anything like that shows that, like, for violent crime,
for
blacks
studies, no. But I went to the protests, and it was after Asian women were attacked, and I think it was like 2 or 3 that I went to. All of them were committed by black people.
Okay, so here's the issue that I'm running into, right? Like, I need something.
You need something.
When I'm going to make a statement like that.
Statistics. Then let's look up violent crime statistics from.
But I'm not going to ask two people. And the reason why I'm saying this, Sneako, is like you're doing again the exact thing that makes the whole Springfield cats and dogs story valid, literally, right? Because I heard from 2-3 people and they said they do it, so that's it. And then you repeat it online, and it's like, these have implications. You're telling your audience that black folks are going to be more violent in these kinds of situations, especially against Asians. Be wary when the numbers don't really bear it. I know you've explained why you don't think that.
Once again, this hate crime statistic is not accurate. Because the problem to me, the problem overall to the community is violent crime, is not verbal crime. I mean, do you want to look up? Do you want to look up violent crime? We could look it up. We could look up New York City violent crime statistics.
Sure. If there's evidence that violent crimes, there's a disproportionate amount, or is there large change, that's fine. And then also, it's like, if you're looking at this situation, and then you're even going in regards to the race, then you have to look at, okay, well, are these hate crimes on the basis of them being Asian? Is this a matter of, like, there's an overrepresentation of black folks within the homeless community? Is it mostly drug addicts? Like my issue
true.
with these kinds of
reasons. There's many reasons why that happens. Like, maybe people argue that. Go ahead.
No, sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying that maybe there's a lot of reasons why there's an overwhelming amount of black homeless people. people say maybe it's gentrification, maybe it's white supremacy, maybe it's like the drugs that were poured into the black community making black people poor. But that's not what I'm saying. I was like, with this Stop Asian Hate thing, the majority of the actual attacks, it was black people, but people were apprehensive to talk about it. But I'm not saying all black people are violent. That's not the rhetoric here.
Well, you're kind of insinuating, or what you take away from the comment when you say that is that this issue is something that's stemming mostly from black folks. That's what happens, right? And the issue I have is that there's no facts to back it up. There's no actual proof of it, and then you repeat it as if it's true.
What do you consider to be?
Talk to a couple people.
What do you consider to be proof? Because earlier you started off by saying people in Dubai, like you compared pride parades in Israel to Dubai pooping and saying they're all doing this when it's all undercover. You're talking about text messages. You're using the same evidence that I'm using here. You're using firsthand evidence from people that are reporting about this stuff. You haven't seen it firsthand, and you're blaming all of Dubai. I'm comparing this.
Right.
I'm using the same exact methods to determine what's going on in New York City.
I don't think that's what's happening. Me saying that some people go to Dubai and then are pooped on does not mean that most of the women who go to Dubai are getting pooped on. Does not mean that most influencers are doing these doo-doo contracts, okay? That's not what I'm saying at all. And if I were to say that, someone could ask, what proof do you have that it's most influencers or most of the women go to Dubai? And what I would look like is I would like have egg on my face because I don't have any proof of that. I'm just going off anecdotal stories.
Sure, then
that would be an incorrect statement.
You made a pretty assertive claim earlier about that. Yeah, go ahead.
My only claim earlier was that some people do that, and that's true. There are some people who go over there and take doo-doo contracts. That's a fact. The same way if your statement was just some of the people who commit the crime against Asian populations are black, that would also be true. But that's very different than saying most or vast majority. That is a complete. Now you're saying there's an overrepresentation, which insinuates that there's some other issues involved.
Do you
understand what I'm trying to get at?
The FBI crime statistic where it says although black people represent 12% of the American population, they commit over 50% of the violent crimes.
Okay.
Do you know that stat?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, so that's just based off of that. There's an blacks are overrepresenting violent crime in America based off the FBI crime statistic.
Okay, even if that's true, just because they might do that, does that mean that they do most of the mass shootings? No. And the only reason I'm bringing it up is not to do like white versus black. The reason why I'm bringing that up is just because they're represented or overrepresented in some segments does not mean that they commit all the different crimes.
I didn't say that either.
Extent.
That's what I was saying, like violent crime on petty crime on Asian people in New York City, which is like shoving someone to the train tracks or beating someone up. Overwhelmingly, that's going to be from violent black crime. But yeah, school shootings, a lot of the stuff that does happen from white people. White and black crime is different.
Yes, but you're using the crime of disproportionality with black or African Americans as a way to say, well, see, if they're overrepresented here, then it tracks that what I said earlier is also a true statement. But that's not the way stats work. No one's going to quote that stat and say that means that black people do more. You're misusing that stat number. That's one. Two, even when we get into stats, I think it's always good to know these different markers, but you have to break down the markers even beyond that. That one number in isolation does not tell you the entire story. So,
here's
hold on, just one second. I have to change my stream if you're going to pull something up.
Okay. Do you see this? This is in 2018. Asian on black violence was 0.1% of violent incidents against blacks. Black on Asian violence was 27.5% of violent incidents against Asians. Asians make up around 6% of the population. Blacks make up 30% of the population. So overwhelmingly.
Hold on, I have to actually see this. I can't see this. Sorry, guys, the stream's gonna be a little fucked up for a second.
This is from Federal Bureau of Justice Statistics National Crime Victimization Survey.
Okay, so I'm looking at this. It says the number of violent incidents, the whites are at 3.5 million, blacks are at 5. Whites overwhelmingly do it against whites.
So 27.5% is overrepresentative of, if they make up 13% of the population, that's an representative statistic. That overrepresents the amount of, it's disproportionate.
Okay, you should make up around 6% of the population. Okay, yeah, I'm not disagreeing that there's differences in these numbers. I don't know what that has to do with the number that you had earlier.
I'm saying that
I think you're pointing to different things right now.
This is talking about attacks of black violence on Asians. It's 27.5%. It's okay. Look, so whites make up 62% of the population, and they commit 24% of the crimes on Asians. Blacks make up 13%, and they're committing more, 27.5% of attacks on Asians. That's disproportionate. So that means the majority of violent attacks, or it's compared to the amount of white and black people in America, the majority, there's more black people doing it than white people doing it. And that compared to 13% of the population compared to 62% of the population.
Three times.
If you believe this, it's coming from the Bureau of Justice Statistics, National Crime Victimization.
No. Look at this.
2 years before COVID. And the height of like Asian.
So there's 182 violent incidents, and then it seems like a quarter of them are from Asians, a quarter of them are from black folks, and a quarter of them are for whites.
Well, the majority is 27.5%. The majority is from black people. It's more than white, more than
Asian.
Asian.
So we have a 2 to 3% difference.
But also, you have to factor in how many black people exist. Like, it's because black people make up 13% of the population.
No, Sneako, you're doing something. You're doing something that's very wrong here. Your first statement, I'm going to repeat it to you. This was your first statement. Your first statement was this: vast majority of violent crimes against Asians are done by blacks. Then you show me something that shows that blacks only could do a quarter of the violent crime.
More than white
You've
people.
literally contradicted your initial statement.
It's the majority right here.
No. It's a slight majority. That's not vast majority.
Okay, sure.
Vast
So
majority.
then slight majority, not vast majority. I stand corrected. But this is 2 years before COVID, and you're not factoring in.
Was there a spike at COVID? Did they all of a sudden triple everybody?
Yeah, that's what Stop Asian Hate was about. There was more crimes committed against Asians, especially in New York City, after COVID, because they were blaming COVID-19 on Chinese people and Asians. So this is not even.
Okay.
Imagine how much more it's going to be.
No. Go to the National Crime Survey and then pull up 2021 or 22.
Okay, I have
and let's see that spike, and then you should be able to confirm it.
Okay. Sure.
Because your number does not agree with your statement.
I said majority.
These are very different.
I guess so then slight, not vast. One, there's a majority, and two, it's coming. I don't know. You're not factoring in the fact that blacks, it says here, are 15% of the population, and whites are 62. Just based off that's far more. So, do you understand how the ratio would work?
If you're now going to a per capita conversation, that's a different one. And we can have that conversation, but that's not what you're talking about. When you claimed the fact that you claimed wasn't true. Now, if you want to have a per capita conversation, that's a different thing.
Well,
is that what you're talking about?
Even without that, it's still a majority.
Okay. No, it's not. It's a minority.
No.
A majority
it's more than white 50%. People. It's more than white people. I mean.
Okay. So this is probably a second issue. The words you mean don't mean what you say.
Okay.
When you say these people,
it's more than white people.
If you say no, it's important because when people are hearing this, they're understanding something different than what you intend. If you want to say black folks commit some of these crimes and it's a little bit more than white folks, that's fine. You can say that because that's what's true based off the numbers you gave me. That's not the same thing as the majority.
Okay. So more black people are committing most of the violent crimes against Asian people.
No, the statement would be.
What is it?
Well,
I want to hear you saying. I want to hear you saying.
Black people are the group that may committed the most out of all the other groups. The most is not black folks.
Compared to other, they're on the top of the list.
Yes, that's different.
Black people are committing out of all races. Black people are committing most of the violent crimes against Asians. Okay.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. So there's a difference between that and what you're saying. What you're saying has a different implication than what you mean. And also, what's the difference? If the difference is 2 percentage points, that's a very small difference. Mm-hmm. Right? Like the way you're speaking, this is how you spoke when you were talking about that Stop Asian Hate. You're like, black people, vast majority of them are the ones who are hurting Asians. That's a problem. No one wants to talk about it. It's like, well, no, they're almost nearly identical to Asians and whites. That's the truth.
Mm-hmm. While also being
one
quarter
the
of the
narrative you're building is not accurate.
Even though there's 1/4 of the population is black compared to white, factoring that in as well. And we could even bring up specific to New York City as well.
So again, if you want to talk per capita, we can talk about that. But that's not the same thing. Like we have to understand that's a different thing. If I say, listen, the per capita conversation is a different one. I just wanted to explain to you that, like, when I hear some of the way that you talk, and like you say you care about these issues, I believe you, but the way you engage with
it's too
when
hyperbolic.
it's not factual or not, it's not just hyperbolic. It's like you don't do the research necessary. You don't say the right things. So you're saying things that you don't mean, or you're saying things that you don't even know are true, and people are just listening. And like I heard you earlier say that we have an influence. I agree with you that we have an influence. But if we have an influence, that requires you to do some due diligence. And I just don't feel like that's the case even in this conversation with some of the stuff that you're saying. And like the downstream effects of it, I know you understand because you talked about how Haitians are marginalized. You talked about the dog story and everything. I'm like, I feel you. It's not fair that they're being scapegoated, but you are kind of doing the exact same thing in so many different ways. You'll talk about, I want to defend my people. And I think it's admirable. I love the fact that, you're down for, let me just make sure everything's fine. I love the fact that you're down for your Haitian people. You're down for your Filipinos. You don't want to see these people be abused. But I feel like the same way you don't want them to be abused, like you engage in a lot of that for others.
Right. I see what you're saying, but I don't think you're seeing the bigger point, which is that the majority of people I think so many people that were at these protests and part of Stop Asian Hate, they were not looking at the fact, or they were acting as if it was proportionate, and it wasn't. It was disproportionately black people committing those violent crimes. And I was pointing that out because people are afraid to speak about that because they don't want to be called racist by looking at statistics.
I agree. I don't like. Here's my thing. When I talk about crime, right? I don't like that people are like, black people have no problems. Never. It's okay to have that, but if you're also honest, Sneako, a lot of people don't engage in this conversation in good faith, especially on the right wing side.
True.
So you end up becoming kind of a bit of a useful idiot because, and I'm not saying that you are, but they'll be like, yeah, Sneako's fucking based. I love it when he talks about this, about minority with the minority face. It's really great that we have somebody, but behind closed doors, if they get their fucking way, they want you to have no rights. So I'm always very reticent to like jump on that side either. I think there's a middle ground where you just
we shouldn't have emotional arguments regardless. Like the same reason white people on the right have emotional arguments and be like, yeah, black people suck. It's like, well, leftists also have that argument. Like, no, I love trans people. Like, we should remove biases from what's factual. That's what I want to get to.
I agree with that. I'm not somebody who sits here and say, as an Ethiopian immigrant, we don't have problems. I'm not somebody who doesn't spend time talking about issues that I don't like culturally. I'm very open about that. But there's a way to do that responsibly where you don't just put into fucking racist narratives. The same way I'm not going to go online and be like, I heard fucking Haitians eat dogs every day. So, get them out of Springfield. I'm not going to do that because
then you shouldn't do that with the Dubai thing either. Like, unless you've seen people get pooped, then you should stop saying that Dubai.
Okay, if you want, I could just send you the links. There's people who've literally done investigative journalism for the
So
Dubai
did
stuff.
I. I just called a Haitian guy who's seen it. That's investigative journalism, is it not? How was that not investigative? I'm not trolling. What? No, I'm being 100% serious. How was that not investigative journalism?
Okay, so somebody calls me, Sneako's been raping girls every day. He's pretty much like Epstein. I go and repeat that. That's investigative journalism.
Okay, it's not just him. I also said I asked my cousin. I
have an anonymous source. It
wasn't anonymous.
Sneako loves little kids.
He put his name out there. Like he's
doing it for safety. I'm doing journalism. He's doing it for safety. He knows you did a little kid, and that's why you did that AI picture because it wasn't actually AI picture. You like that Jeffrey Epstein stuff. That's why you like his drip.
Okay. Do you think that Lenz, my friend, he's from it? Do you think that he would? Why would he like? What would his ulterior motive be?
I don't know. I don't know him. I don't know what's his source. I don't know how he
look at this in good faith. Like he doesn't.
Why would I look at it in good faith? He thinks, okay, if you're going to say something that's relatively extreme, I'm going to require you to provide a bit of evidence. So you're just saying, I saw it. I'm not going to believe that. Is that a crazy thing?
I mean, I could bring up videos of cats in Haiti.
That's a good start. That's a good start. But I'm not going to the standard of my friend says these people do this, and so I'm going to start.
But I'm using both. I'm using investigative journal. I've seen videos of it happening, and I've asked multiple sources. My family lives in Haiti. This seems to be conclusive enough for me to determine that. And I've also reiterated that I haven't seen it myself, and I was surprised to hear that. And I said that in that podcast clip you brought up. The video that happened in America, that was false. But then I asked people, and I looked into it, and I saw this going on.
Yeah, I think I understand. I think I understand what you're getting at. I think we've kind of. Because I don't want to loop a little bit.
Yeah, we can move on.
I do want to get to other parts. And honestly, I didn't know we were going to touch on this and stuff. So this is all.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
Yeah, bro, that shit. I was kind of livid when that stuff was happening, but. Okay, I want to move to the next part because obviously this is the thing that happened most recently, and I didn't want to cover it when it was happening at the time with you because I wanted to kind of just have some time to breathe on it. Now that you've gotten a week or two after the whole experience in the Vendôme nightclub, everything with the Hail Hitler thing, I want you to just kind of share your perspective and your thoughts on it, kind of unfiltered, without me saying anything. So, what do you feel about the situation? Yeah, what do you really think?
It's just a song. It's a silly song. I was there when it was created. I made multiple videos while I was there. I debuted that song with Ye on my stream back in May, and it's completely disproportionate, the punishment and everything, getting banned from all these clubs, people switching, people lying, people folding. The Miami mayor said that I'm no longer welcome in Miami on news. At the end of the day, it's just a song, and it's a silly song. What people leave out, they're like, oh, you're celebrating Hitler. The song is Nigga Heil Hitler. Nigga Heil, all my niggas Nazis. Were niggas Nazis, Abba? No. Were niggas heiling Hitler during the 30s? No. It's a song that's fighting back against cancel culture and everything you're not supposed to say in one.
You repeat that last line for me, please?
The phrase "nigga Heil Hitler" is like the last window of free speech and of cancel culture and what were the limitations of speech and of freedom. You're not supposed to say these words, and it's like, imagine white people saying "nigga Heil Hitler" and black people saying "all my niggas Nazis."
Why are you? Yeah. So why are you not supposed to say those words, or why are you not supposed to do the salute? Why is it a frowned upon thing?
Because for my entire life and from the majority of people who were watching this and everything, the most evil thing that they always point out, Hitler, 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 Holocaust, Holocaust, Holocaust. And people are seeing the double standards when a Holocaust is committed right now. And then people turn a blind eye and don't speak about it, right? Hitler existed 100 years ago. He's dead. The Nazi Party doesn't exist. This stuff is over. But they always say that this is the worst thing that happened. And people that use that a lot to say it's the worst thing that happened are doing it in order to distract you and to not talk about the genocide that's happening right now. So I see a lot of hypocrisy.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Do you think what's happening in Palestine is horrible?
I think it's worse than what happened in the Holocaust. They're starving people. You can see they're cutting off the water supply. They continue to shoot people after the ceasefire. A lot of children are being killed, kept in an open-air prison. I want to see Palestine free. I think it's disgusting. I think we're seeing it in 4K. We have overwhelming evidence, and American tax dollars are funding it.
I agree. Everything that's happening in Palestine is incredibly bad. And if you want to say it's the worst, I'm going to meet you there and say, I agree. Let's say, hey, okay?
Okay.
If Palestine to use a 10 as one of the worst things that's ever happened, where would you put the Holocaust?
I mean, I don't know. I wasn't alive. I didn't have, the evidence we have today
from what you've read.
From what I've read, how bad is it?
Yeah.
It's very bad.
Yeah, if I said, okay, so again, I put the Palestine thing at a 10. Where would you put the Holocaust?
6, 7.
6, 7. Okay. So a pretty horrible thing that happened.
Horrible.
Millions of people died, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you see the hypocrisy and how people don't seem to really care, or a lot of people don't seem to care about Palestine. So what benefit is that to do a symbol that, you're swearing allegiance to? That's what the symbol means, okay? So the symbol has meaning, and so does the line, but it's swearing allegiance to the supreme authority, right? The man who committed this and did a lot of other horrible things during World War II, right? Mm-hmm. How does that benefit? Or how are you?
I don't think it's swearing allegiance. It's saying "nigga Heil Hitler." Nigga Heil Hitler was not swearing allegiance to Hitler. No, it's not. Plus, he's dead. You can't swear allegiance to somebody who's dead. I mean, I guess you can, but that's not what I think.
That's not true. The movement still exists.
Does it?
Still
where?
Nazis today.
Where are the Nazis today? Where? Besides, I mean, I could argue that modern-day Nazis are the people in Israel. I think they embody, if you look at the Epstein files, Epstein embodies racial supremacy. He thinks that everybody else is goy. He clearly works for Israel. Netanyahu's committing a genocide. They're using it to displace people. That is the modern day Hitler. These are the modern day Nazis, if you're going to compare it and say that.
Oh, okay, but you're doing this like whole hypocrisy thing. Like, I don't disagree with you that Netanyahu's horrible, and we both agree. I just don't understand why you would go around repeating a symbol that celebrates another fucking murderer too.
I don't agree.
You know, it's like,
I don't agree.
Oh my God.
I don't agree. It's celebration because niggas weren't howling. Like it's. Remember the lyric, nigga. Look at.
Well,
the
you
music
guys
video.
were. You guys literally were. You guys were though. You guys were doing that. You guys were throwing it up.
No,
Throwing it up
I wasn't.
repeatedly,
I wasn't.
thinking it was awesome.
I wasn't. I'm not even
you
throwing
have in the
up.
past.
I'm not like throwing up salutes. Like, yeah, I've done it like honestly on stream as a joke. Like if anyone thinks it's that serious, okay, sure, then you can believe that. But I'm explaining my perspective now.
I don't think you take. I don't think you think it's serious. I don't think you do. But it is a serious thing. You cannot think it's serious. It still is a serious thing. It is still a serious thing that you're normalizing. Yeah.
Normalizing.
The same way if you get a Nazi
saying
thing tattooed on yourself.
Yeah, it's normalizing saying nigga Heil Hitler.
Of course, yeah. The repetition of something normalizes where it becomes commonplace. And then for people who really do believe in this ideology, for field, like when you see the president and he's out here posting racist memes or he's talking about cats and dogs, it signifies things to people who follow him that this kind of behavior is normal. In that same token, when you do certain symbols and you engage with certain concepts that have meaning and then you repeat them, when they already have existing meaning, you normalize it. You make it more acceptable.
I think it's normalizing saying what you're not supposed to say because it's a paradox. It's like niggas weren't heiling Hitler. This is not a celebration of what happened in history. The music video, which I was working on editing, it depicts all black people with furs on. Nobody's doing salutes and Hitler's not there. It's black people. Like we're black and they're all dark skinned. Were they Nazis? No, they weren't.
I just got to push back. And the reason I got to push back is like you say that, like it's not, it's none doesn't mean anything. And then you have interviews with Kanye, with Alex Jones, where he's saying, I think Hitler was awesome. I think he was a great person. I think he's a hero. I think he's a good man. He's saying all these different things. And these are quotes, right? So when you have that, like, we can't pretend that this just happened in a vacuum. This wasn't like you guys in the locker room and you were doing it for a funny laugh. It's been repeated ad nauseum. You see this whole rise in like neo-Nazis in general.
Where?
But just
where?
These kinds of, you can look at the stats. You can see some of the extreme far-right parties and the ones who throw up the salute, the ones who still believe in the Nazi ideology.
Where are the Nazis of today? I haven't seen that.
Just because they're not in prominence like they used to be doesn't mean that these are not movements and fascism and things like that are rising. These are things that do exist and that do grow. And I do think we are seeing a lot of this kind of racial and ethnic.
Can you point an example? Where are the Nazis growing in today?
Where are they growing today? Well, we had the Richard Spencer, we had characters like that. That would be like overt forms. And there's other folks who try to operate a little bit underneath it without having to be overt. But you're seeing that the racial tensions are rising. So these are all kinds of behaviors that are starting to move. But if you go to Europe, there's actually quite a lot of far-right parties who openly hail Hitler and do it everywhere. And they're proud of their Nazi ideology. This idea like this kind of fascism doesn't exist anymore in the world is just not true.
Right.
And these are things that people are reporting more hate crimes. People are reporting more white Nazi, neo-Nazi ideologies in regards to some of these hate crimes. So these are things that are rising.
I've seen some of those protests, and I think it's been proven. A lot of those, maybe we're looking at different videos. A lot of those were just Fed jackets. Those were Feds trying to get people to see who's going to join up so that they can silence them. Right? A lot of those, they'd be like, "Oh, hi, in the public," and they'll have red masks on. They're completely organized, and you're like, "Wait, what is this really a Nazi group, or are these all Fed psyops?"
You don't have to be a full-on Nazi to be leaning off in that direction. And like, I know you don't view him that way, but to me, I view Nick Fuentes in that direction. He's somebody who wants a white power structure. He's someone who would prefer that white folks are in charge of America and wants to maintain their control over the power.
He wants to lower immigration and keep as a white majority country.
Right. He just doesn't want white majority. He also wants a white power structure. When he talks about positions of power, he clearly states that he wants white folks to be in those positions for the most part.
Which is, that's how America was created. You can kind of see that because America is no longer the world power it was. And it started off as a majority white country with white people in charge. you can understand his perspective that with too much immigration that things are changing and there's no longer a core sense of what America was. I completely understand like wanting some sort of immigration, but limiting the amount of mass immigration that's coming in and wanting to maintain a white majority and keep immigrants to come in, but they have to assimilate. And that you're seeing less of that now, where people only show pride to the place they were coming from and don't show pride to America. America's losing its sense of identity.
Do you agree with him? Do you agree with his worldview, what he wants?
Should remain a white majority country?
Yeah, and also that white folks should be the ones in power.
That whites should be the ones. No, not necessarily that white people need to be the ones in power, but I understand the necessity for pride in this country. Pride is a sin, but to keep some sort of, America is going to survive, then you need to keep people in this country that want to live here, that assimilate, and that are waving the American flag and not flags from other countries.
Okay, but that's not what I'm getting at. I don't care about white pride. That's not what the core. He's not a white pride activist. He's a political pundit who actually is part of a political movement, and they want to effectuate political change. So he advocates for a white power structure in which whites are the majority of those in charge. That's what his words. So I'm asking you, do you agree with that? Do you think that's ideal for America, your country?
My most important issue is getting rid of the parasite of Israel and AIPAC in our country. That's the number one most important issue, and his movement is the most successful movement at getting rid of that and has been pointing it out. That's why we work together in Yay 24, me, Nick, Yay, Milo.
So I feel like you're dodging. I feel like
I'm not dodging. I'm explaining. I don't overlap with everything. I don't, like, he essentially, he thinks it's important that America, he wants it to have allegiance to, I'm not going to misquote him or misrepresent him, but he thinks that he's a Catholic. And America started out as a Protestant Freemason country. The founding fathers were Freemason. So for this to be a Catholic monarchy, which I'm not saying that he's saying, that a lot of that stuff doesn't align with my religious beliefs and everything, but I think he has the most successful movement at maintaining America as a strong world power and getting rid of Israel's involvement using our resources and our tax dollars for their political gain instead of ours.
Okay. I promise you this is not a gotcha, but you're definitely not answering the question. Okay. And the reason why I'm asking is because it's a very clear stated goal and it has political implications. And so it's just a matter of like understanding how much of his worldview you might share for what he wants for America, the country you live in. So when he says he wants a white power structure and that he wants whites in charge for the majority of it.
I don't agree with all his points.
Is that something?
I don't think he would say, I don't think he said.
But you agree with that one. I don't ask all the points. I don't believe you do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say this right now. I don't think you agree with Nick Fuentes on everything. Okay. So I'm stating that outright.
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking you if you agree with that.
Okay. First, I don't want to misrepresent and say that he's saying white power structure. I'm saying I understand wanting America to maintain its white majority when immigration is the cause of so many issues happening right now. And limiting immigration and closing the borders. I agree. I think that illegal immigrants should be deported, and I think that we should prioritize the citizens here. And if that were to happen, then it would be, right now whites are the majority. It's looking at that if we allow this mass immigration that's going to change very soon, and America is going to lose its sense of identity. And as a minority, I hate talking like that, but I think America would benefit more from maintaining a white majority where immigrants come in to assimilate rather than dominate, to take resources and not show allegiance to this country.
I understand you agree with him with how the immigration should be structured in the white majority, but I think that still doesn't answer my question, because like my question is not that crazy either.
Do I agree with
it's kind of clear
white power structure?
Agree or disagree, whichever part you want. But when he says he wants a white majority, okay, and he wants white folks in charge, as a majority in terms of the political apparatus, do you agree or disagree with that?
With maintaining a white majority?
No. Okay. I'm not talking about population. I'm talking about those in power, those who make the decisions. He's very publicly stated that he wants a white majority. That's important for power and politics. So I'm asking, do you share that opinion?
Well, I don't know if that's true. I mean, he was working on Ye's campaign. Ye was running for president. We were both working on that political campaign. Ye's black. So, I mean, if he didn't want black people or minorities in charge, he wouldn't have been working on that campaign.
Okay, let's try to take a look at some clips. Actually, because I think this happened even in our debate. And I don't even know if I was going to pop these in, but fuck it. Because I think it's important, because I'm just trying to understand where your views overlap with his. Because, yeah, I think it's kind of important to this whole.
Yeah, the majority overlap is that we both agree that Israel is the cause of so many issues in this country.
Two,
All right, so let's see. This is during a debate.
4-year-old debate.
You were there. Well, I mean, he's present. He's already been doing politics for years. He speaks on it, and a lot of his goals are still stated in regards to the white majority stuff. So just take a listen.
Hey, Aiden.
He's talking about the
How am I
fact that
doing?
he wants like
Sure.
a white core. I find it interesting that there's a specific idea about a white core. Nick, would you not concede the fact that both white and black Americans that were imported here
Oh wait, let me make sure everyone else can see. So I'm just gonna switch over, and then I will just move that like that.
through slave trade are the genesis of this country and should have just as much hold? But I'm pretty confident that if black Americans had a majority core, you would not be okay with it, correct?
Well, because America's not historically a majority black nation.
But if it became one, but they have just as much claim to the country as the white folks, do they not?
Well, I think as the people that are in America, yeah, sure.
Okay, so let's say tomorrow they started overpopulating like crazy and then they became a majority. Would you be fine with it?
He's out of here.
Probably not, no.
He's out of here.
So why are you cool with that though, Sneako? Like, I understand, bro, Nick, it's a lost cause. It is what it is. But it's like, bro, Sneako, I think it's actually sad, bro.
I think there's another quote just a little bit earlier in this debate. I'm gonna probably pop it in afterwards. But the reason why I brought up that example, and the reason why that kind of stood out to me, is like sometimes I'll hear Nick and then he sounds like, I just want reasonable grounds for us to be keeping the white majority, keeping things good. But these are Americans, these are our brothers, okay? And the reason why I brought the black Americans is like obviously through the slave trade, they were brought here, they invested a lot of themselves over dozens of generations. And I had the question in my head, like, if they have a claim to the country as well, and that they've put their blood, soil, into the country and invested themselves, then I think through a meritocracy or different amounts of choices, if they end up populating more, is that something that you would be fine with? And he says no. And to me, it's very clear that one, he wants, a racial hierarchy in terms of just the numbers, but also that anyone who's not white, there's going to be an upper cap or a limit, even if they have just as much stake in the country in terms of their generational input into it. And so when I hear him talk like this, and then I hear a lot of his other views in regards to things, I think it's very clear how he wants to set up that hierarchy for his people. And I feel like you don't necessarily disagree with that. You shared the fact that he should have a white majority. Do you also share the idea that black folks, there should be a cap for African Americans in regards to how high they can necessarily climb as a group or population size?
No, I don't believe in population control. I'm not saying that. I definitely don't believe that black people should be capped at how many kids they have. But the same goes for Japan is limiting the amount of immigration. They want to maintain majority Japanese people in their country. Russia can say that, but so many times when Americans say that, that's seen as racist. Yeah, I think overall, if you look at history, you look at successful nations that maintain their core and maintain a structure where there's a specific majority and specific ideologies and a specific government, that's how you maintain. If that's going to change rapidly, as so rapidly it has in the past 20 years, where the demographics have dropped. Whites used to be 80% of the population, now they're 60%. Things are going to change in this country really quickly, and everything points to the fact that it's not going to be successful. So I understand wanting to have whites as the majority population in America.
Well, I don't think that necessarily relates to what I said, and I don't think Japan example even makes sense. Japan is not a multicultural project, and Japan also has a tremendous amount of issues in regards to birthing their own people themselves. I mean, they're on an island with just each other, and they don't want to be fucking and having kids. So, they're a population that's dying out, and they may have issues that they're going to deal with long term. The idea that multiculturalism doesn't work because you point to Japan. Sorry, Japan, Korea, they also have a big crisis coming up with Social Security and old people not having enough kids, and no one's stopping them from fucking. Okay? When we look to America, America flourished under multiculturalism. Sure, it had a white majority, but its biggest boom came in from bringing people from foreign countries and then taking the best from all over the world for all different forms of jobs.
I've stated my view on immigration many times. I am pro-legal immigration. I want to bring in immigrants who want to benefit this country. but I'm not a fan of mass immigration, mass imports from different demographics all over the world. People who are getting H-1B visas, that stuff does not benefit. And it just seems that they use this country to extract resources for themselves without showing allegiance to this country. That's not good for America. I just sent you a clip too. If you want to, maybe you could bring this up. This clarifies Nick's stance on race and the idea of America first.
You sent it to me via Discord?
Yes.
All right, I'll pop it up. There it is. I'll pop it up on the same screen so we can all see it.
And this is a more recent clip. The other one you showed is from 4 years ago. This is from October 30th, 2025.
Get some backbone.
Hold up. Let me just make sure everything's good on the stream. I'll do it like that. I'll do it. All right, here we go.
Get the courage of your convictions. If you're out there, and by the way, I don't care what color you are. I know maybe that's going to be controversial on my side. But seriously, if you have citizenship, if you were born in this country, this is your birthright. This is our lives. This is our rights. This is our heritage. It's our tax dollars. It's our government. It's our military. This is our country. This is our empire. I'll unite with anybody who proclaims America first above all other countries, including and especially Israel.
I agree 100%.
And they're...
Yeah. Let me just actually get out of being full screen, because I think that's probably...
on the other side of this one, and they're wrong. They need to be put back in their place. Anybody who says that America should come second needs to be reminded your place is number 2. America's number 1. Anything else, it's not even number 2. It's number 100. It's America first, second, third, fourth, fifth. That's what we're about.
There you go.
Anyway.
Okay. So what do you think that clip says?
Saying that people here, there's a lot of different demographics, and we should prioritize our country when it comes to nationalism. If you're from here, you're born here, you have American citizenship, you got to put America first above all countries. And the number one issue is people showing due allegiance to Israel. And so he'll align with people who agree with that. I agree. You said, like, should we put caps on black people? Like, no, that obviously I don't agree with that. If it naturally happens that a different race takes up the majority, then there's no reason that there should be any sort of legal government infiltration to stop that, right? But I'm against mass immigration from different countries. And overall, like, I don't agree with a white power structure, but for a country to succeed, it does need to maintain its original core. And this country started as a predominantly white country.
Yeah, I think that because a lot of these movements are going mainstream, they're finding great ways to obfuscate their true views in order to be able to be politically expedient. And I feel that when I see Nick, and I think I see that even with their current admin. When I see rhetoric of stuff like deporting American citizens because they committed a crime, and then oftentimes the way they talk about this is very specifically geared towards those of minority communities. It's very clear to me then, or it starts to become clear to me what I'm listening to. When I hear things about how they want to close off immigration except from like white specific countries, it's very clear to me what the project and the identity is. And I don't know, Sneako, if you are looking at them for what they're actually trying to do and then just buying the rhetoric. I think, me personally, the way I've seen things evolve and how it don't even matter if you're a citizen anymore. If you just got the wrong accent, motherfuckers might be on that ass. So to me, I think it's almost too much of a good faith interpretation considering the past rhetoric and some of the actions that we're seeing and how they're being supported. The idea that you're going to stop immigration, but then you're only going to accept it for white South Africans or whatever
he didn't even say that. I mean, that's not what Nick said in that.
I'm not talking about him specifically. I'm not just macroing out a little bit, okay? But I'm talking about how things are actually manifesting in terms of political behavior. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay. Well, I'm not sure where who said that. When has that ever been? Who made that point that immigration only from white countries?
I mean, that's a thing that's happening right now in terms of refugee status and who's allowed to even claim asylum. The only ones that they're accepting
said that?
for a group. Yeah, that's the only ones they were accepting. It was the ones from South Africa, the white ones specifically.
Okay, yeah, I disagree. It should be immigrants who want to benefit this country should be good immigrants. I disagree with that.
Okay, I can see that you disagree. I'm just trying to tell you how they're actually manifesting.
I see what you're saying.
The
real, bigger point.
So there's the rhetoric and there's what they're actually trying to get to as an end point. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, I see. What you're essentially saying is that you think that I'm being as a useful tool to push white supremacy, right?
I think that. Let me just give me a second. I think partially that statement, I think even larger than that. I think that, and I can say this even for myself, so if I even look at myself, right? You and I have both made content in regards to wokeness, in regards to sometimes black folks will have like this like victim narrative. Some of them, they'll use the fact that they're black to just try to escape accountability when they hit somebody or when they did something. Like these are all stories that you and I have covered, okay? And I don't know if you've had this, but I cover it in earnest. I just don't like people being a scumbag and then trying to use like, because black plight to me is a real thing. The idea that you would use that to try to get out of something pisses me off. But on the same token, I also talk about the fact that sometimes folks get targeted on the basis of their race, and that's also a real thing. But when I cover certain stories or I do it a certain type of way, sometimes I'll attract an audience that's not there for the same reason I am. Do you get what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so I'm not even intending or I'm not even pushing some kind of narrative. I'm just trying to say this is wrong. And some of the people who are now cheering me on, I'm realizing I'm attracting. And I think in your case, I feel like that's been the case a lot of times. I believe you really believe these things. I think you say them. I think you think it in good faith and you follow it. But I don't think, that some of the people that are involved or following are doing so with the intention that they actually like you. I think they think you're useful. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, but that's not what I believe in. If there's an overlap in audience, I'm not responsible for all of their beliefs. People can disagree and watch my content for many different reasons, but pointing blame at the content creator while misrepresenting what they actually stand for is disingenuous.
Repeat that last sentence, just so I understand.
Saying your audience is racist, therefore it's your fault that they're racist is not a fair criticism.
Why?
Because I'm not responsible for the beliefs of everybody that watches my content.
Right, but you do have control over how you curate things and the kind of people you attract, no?
Right. And overall, the most important issue, the most pressing issue that we need to immediately address in this country, I mean, you're Canadian, you're not even American, is how much Israel is purging our country. So his political movement is by and large the one that's threatening that power structure the most. So if we can align with that, if we can ally on that, I see that as the best use of my whatever political influence I have.
So you think it's more important to align yourself with potentially anybody and then fight against this issue? That's what you're saying?
That's the most.
I don't want to misrepresent.
The most important issue in America right now is getting rid of AIPAC, that's not listed as a foreign agent, and the Israeli influence that's all over America. Epstein files have determined just how much it goes. And so this is the most important issue. Although I have disagreements, and I disagree with Nick on many things, like Venezuela, we publicly talk about our disagreements. A lot of his supporters disagree with me about the Haitian cat situation. What's most important is that power structure and challenging that. So, yeah, it's fine. If some people are going to watch my stream and disagree, it is what it is.